John Cena can't see me.
what to do to fix that.
Am I supposed to be looking at this
No,
camera
you
the
would
whole
look
time?
at me.
We look at each other?
Yeah,
Okay,
you look at
perfect.
me. Yeah, so you might want to move your mic a little bit so that you can talk to me, but also talking to the mic.
What's up, Ben?
Yeah. Stare directly into the lens the entire time. Yeah. I think what's going to help your mic specifically is we're going to raise the bass up a little bit so that the boom arm doesn't have to stick up so high and it can almost be like angled down towards you. I think that might help. But also, that's kind of working.
Yeah.
You feel relaxed? You look cool as shit.
Right? There's nothing here, though. There's nothing. I'm just putting
okay. I was like, dang, what is he leaning on?
Nothing. Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Just how my cool vibes, my swag.
Oh, yeah, that helps.
My drip.
That helps you sound more clear.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
if it's angled towards you a little bit.
Yeah, this is perfect. We can do this.
What are you going to do with your legs?
We're going to constantly be swapping them 24/7, and I will make a note of that in the podcast. I don't do, because I'm a man, I don't do this, but I do the,
Oh, yeah, the knee lock.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Oh, my God, dude.
Yeah.
I just fucking crushed my balls.
Yeah, because I'm a man.
Because I got such
My
big
massive fucking balls.
Excuse me, sorry, what?
You're good. Have you seen my Google image?
No. Is it your cat?
No, it's hopefully. Do you know who that is?
That's dude from Destiny 1.
Yeah.
The little bitch boy.
Yeah. It's in the scene. Have you played like the Dreaming City and all that shit?
If it was in Destiny 1, I likely did. But another thing I got to admit to you, out of all of my years, if you go look at my PSN profile, you'll see that like my top played game is Destiny 1.
Yeah.
All of that time was played solo.
Oh, shit.
And so if you think about that, I've never once raided.
Oh, shit, dude.
Even in Destiny 2 that I played with people, we were never good enough to raid.
Yeah.
And so I just lived a life of never really raiding in Destiny. But it still had a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. It just sucks because raiding is a pretty decent part of it. It's like the good, fun challenge.
Yeah, it's what you play for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this, at the end of the story, I think it's when he goes, because his sister is like fucking trapped or something, and Riven, who is this fucking weird ass like demon monster, it goes and grabs him, and that's the face he makes. He's screaming as it's grabbing him, about to fucking kill him, and
holy shit.
It's just a funny.
Yeah.
Because he's such an emo little bitch in the first.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm the crow, or whatever the fuck he's, Uldren Sov or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's such a dickhead to you, and he's like a total bitch in Destiny 2.
Yeah, his haircut looks like, the singer from AFI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the piece of shit that killed him in that DLC.
Kate6?
Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry if that was spoilers. That's pretty big spoilers,
yeah,
actually.
I mean, at this point, dude.
It's years.
Yeah, it's
also,
years.
it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that content's gone.
Because it's fucking $40? We'll take that.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Save Scummers. This is your weekly gaming conversation. I'm your host, Benjamin Scott. Joining me is my co-host, Evan Harrell.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. Sorry. I know we kind of... Well, I should probably put that on silent.
Good little intro if it works out. People can see that we talk about, everything. The whole food pyramid of gaming.
Yeah, totally. Run the gamut.
Yeah.
Talk about everything. But really quick, because this is our first episode, I figured we would kind of give a little back history, talk about kind of how we decided to start doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of weird to just all of a sudden be like, hey, like, people should listen to us.
We decided to do it off the clock.
Yeah. Because so Evan and I work together, and we sit like perpendicular or adjacent to one another.
Yep.
And occasionally we'll like stand in each other's doorways and like talk to each other about gaming, but we're really not supposed to.
Yeah.
And we get pressured hard not to do that.
Yeah.
And so we were basically like, we got to have these conversations, and we just got to meet up outside of work, and also like cool creative opportunity to do a podcast, put all this equipment to use.
Yeah, for sure.
So, in terms of your gaming background, I know we've loosely talked about it. I have like a weird scaffolding in my brain, but tell me about your gaming background.
So original favorite all-time series, Halo. Die hard, love Halo. Had an original Xbox. Huge Bungie fanboy, which has died off, unfortunately. Delved into the books and everything like that. My other go-to is any From Software games. But I do need to play Armored Core, so, I'll be crucified for that. And just like nerd stuff, anything, board games. I've delved into some of that stuff. Always will enjoy video games as part of my life. Went to E3 in 2019. Last one, kind of a historic moment, I feel like, and I was like, wow, this is crazy, just to see all the more inner workings of video game culture.
Hell yeah.
It was very fascinating. But yeah, that's my experience. Really like first-person shooters like Halo, Command and Conquer, and any From Software games, essentially.
Cool.
But I'll play anything other than racing games, really. Unfortunately.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Yeah. But see, that's cool because we'll fill each other's gaps.
Yeah.
No homo. But, my first... So, I had a weird delayed start with gaming.
Okay.
Technically, it's not a gaming console, but the first video game thing I ever had was called a Sega Pico. It was this weird, it was almost like a leapfrog learning pad that you had to put cartridges in, and you flip pages of books, and you could tap on it with a stylus, and it would do things on the TV.
Yeah.
But that is why I'm a big Sonic the Hedgehog nerd. It has nothing to do with the actual Sonic the Hedgehog games. Mm-hmm. It's just when I was a kid, that was my first thing, and I was really into it. And I think how weird things can get in your brain when you're a kid, where it just does something for you visually, and some people get into Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Some people are whatever that thing is. Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm borderline autistic for it. I haven't gone down the Chris Chan rabbit hole, but
good, nice, yeah.
But and then because my family was kind of poor. Probably in 1999 or 2000, I got a Super Nintendo.
Nice.
And then that's when I play Super Mario World and Mega Man X, stuff like that. And then after that, then became the almost steamroll effect of got a PlayStation 1, got a PS2, big, huge Ratchet and Clank fan, huge Sly Cooper fan. Not so much Jack and Daxter. Mm-hmm. But those Sony first party, or they weren't first party games at the time, they were second party games, but the Sony exclusive platformer genre was my bag growing up. I got really into it, would run around my house with the instruction booklet from Sly Cooper, trying to track down the Fiendish Five and shit. Yeah. And then eventually I remember with original Xbox, I went to a friend's house and woke up early. As per usual, I'm an early bird. I woke up early and everybody was still asleep, and I saw this weird box under the TV and just hit the power button on it. Mm-hmm. And Halo Combat Evolved was in it. And so I just remember fumbling through the Pillar of Autumn level, trying to get off the ship, and waking up and playing with inverted controls and shit. And kind of have luck because of growing up a little bit on the poor side, kind of got to all that stuff a little late, but I got that history. Yeah. Where I have an appreciation for retro stuff, but then when 360 came out, it was the fucking shit. Yeah. But then because Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction, the trailer for that got me so hype. I begged my mom for a PS3, and I was one of the only kids that I was growing up with that had a PS3. Mm-hmm. And so I've always kind of had to have a little bit of Xbox, a little bit of PlayStation, and still occasionally dabble in Nintendo. Yeah. But to an extent, I feel I've kind of outgrown it. Maybe that's a weird, I don't know, but I try to I have Switch games behind me. I try to play them. I'm really into Metroid. I played Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS. A lot. It was a first-person shooter on the DS where you use the stylus to control the
That's
camera.
pretty cool.
It wasn't very good. But I would play like LAN with my buddies and like or not LAN, it was like wireless LAN. Like we weren't online, but you could use like the wireless connection to play multiplayer arena. And yeah, just a big nerd about that kind of stuff, and was really big into G4 TV, would watch G4 and like read EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly, or magazine, I forget what it was. I have a stack of them right there with like, you can see where I cut out things to like put on my binder in middle school and high school. So
nice.
It's funny because I moved to Austin, Texas, and then moved back here, and when my folks took off, I like crawled in the attic and brought out all of the stuff that was mine that they shoved up there. And so I found like all my old stuff, like a fucking mint copy of Pokemon Red.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, big nerd. But
it's kind of cool though to hear that, because like there's not a massive age difference between us, but I didn't really grow up with like Nintendo or any of those games. And even when I played on Xbox, it was at the tail end as Xbox 360 was coming out. And like I would have been 3 when Halo came out, so like it's not like I OG played it.
Yeah.
You know, it had to have been at least probably 10, I think, when I played it for the first time.
Okay.
But yeah.
I had a feeling that like 360 on would probably be what you're most nostalgic for.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is some, like I said, I mean, I played Halo on the Xbox. I remember playing a Star Wars game too. Can't for the life of me. And probably like, I think OG Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah.
Was, I think, on Xbox.
It's a good fucking game.
Oh yeah. And on
Didn't
Xbox
they just port
360.
those?
Yeah, or like they're about to do that remaster. I'm definitely gonna buy that.
Yeah.
And there's probably gonna be a ton of people that get that.
Yeah.
It'd be better than the EA current one.
Oh yeah.
The skeleton crew that they left to salvage that game.
Yeah.
So disappointing. But it is. I've always wanted to. I used to have like a Nintendo 3DS, and I've played some Pokemon games, but I've never been like super attached to like the Pokemon and Sonic and Mario. And I feel like it's probably just because I never really like played them.
Yeah.
Because people that play them love them.
Yeah.
And they're good games, clearly. I really want to play Castlevania.
Dude. Symphony of the Night? Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth it. I mean, that's a game that like I too would like to play.
Yeah.
Because there were certain games that I got for Super Nintendo that I would put in and be like, this is too hard, and would just bounce right off of it. And like Castlevania and stuff like that. Like I remember renting Symphony of the Night. I believe it was for PlayStation 1. But playing that and like taking it back the same day and being like, this was too hard, and like renting something else.
Yeah.
Like back when like Blockbuster would like, I remember I used to rent Pokemon games from Blockbuster and like take my sister's Game Boy Color and start a new game and like trade Squirtle to me, trade Charmander to me, and then I'd be like, okay, now I've got Ivy's, or like it was probably an Ivysaur, but like Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, would play through the games with them. But they like wouldn't listen because you were like weren't supposed to have them, I think.
Yeah.
I could see where like if you just didn't grow up playing them, then like have you played any of the Pokemon games?
Yeah, I played Shield.
Oh, okay.
And
Damn, dude.
And I played I had a Game Boy Advanced, I think is what it was, and I did play Emerald. But that's it. That's really it.
Emerald is god tier.
Oh yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I played Pokemon Go, which doesn't really count, but
I mean, it doesn't count in that like it's not like a core game. It's a mobile game, but or like that's how it'd be like if somebody was like, do you like Fallout? And they're like, I play Fallout Shelter every day. Yeah. You're like, oh no.
But it's interesting. It's fascinating seeing because like people that did grow up with it, like they love it. Yeah. And it's not like a weird overly obsessed and love. They grew up with it and they're like, yeah, this is awesome. Like this is my childhood. And it's crazy to think that I'm like, I just missed that by a couple years. Yeah. Like maybe literally just like anywhere between 2 to 4 years. And I could have been like just as obsessed with that.
Because you were born in what, 98?
99.
99, yeah. So
like the actual cutoff.
Yeah, like the year that I probably like got my Game Boy Color and got a Super was the year you were born. Yeah. Which is pretty wild.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Because, dude.
And then like I wasn't 5 playing video games. You know what I mean? Like yeah, so
it takes you some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, that's when I was like bouncing off all those really hard games because I was like fucking 6 years old, maybe 7 in like first grade.
Yeah.
Trying to play like Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, being like, where do I go?
Yeah.
And there's no internet to look up guides, or there was internet, but it was like all I ever did on the internet was like go to the Digimon website and watch Digimon Digivolve, and or like send email to the Ninja Turtles and do weird dorky shit like that.
I also never grew up with like Newgrounds, playing like the 8-bit or Flash games on Newgrounds. I know that bred a whole group of like developers and just culture and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah. You ever play Castle Crashers?
Yes.
Dude,
I have played that.
Dude,
yeah.
Castle Crashers.
That's fun.
That was like an Xbox 360 arcade.
That was
like gem.
I think that's when I played it on. Yeah, the Xbox 360.
Yeah, that was one of those games I watched infect my friends list. Like everybody kind of bought it secretly and started playing it, and then you'd see it like popping up, and then eventually it's just all 4 homies running around.
Yeah.
On their shitty internet connections.
Yeah.
But I do have a topic of the show.
Okay.
For the first episode, let me pull the doc up really quick. I wanted to.
I also kind of know.
Yeah.
I'm in cahoots.
Yeah.
Anybody listening or will be watching.
So yeah, based on the title of this episode, if you've clicked on it, you kind of know what we're going to talk about. But Helldivers 2, its popularity has many questioning console exclusivity. Some even going as far as petitioning Sony to bring the game to Xbox. Recently, Xbox announced plans to bring 4 previously exclusive games to PlayStation. Those games are Pentiment, HiFi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded. Pentiment is already on the platform. With Xbox boss Phil Spencer commenting that he doesn't understand who it helps to keep Helldivers 2 off of Xbox. There's been a lot of debate about console exclusivity, so we figured we'd hell dive into the subject.
Hell yeah.
What do you think about console exclusivity?
I think that time has passed. I do agree that I understand in the beginning, with technology, why it happened and stuff like that. But I do agree that time has passed. And at the end of the day, in business perspective, more people buying the game, I mean, you're eventually just going to make more money. I do though know that Sony doing exclusives and then later releasing them on Steam has also been very like lucrative business wise, so I can understand if that's like what they want to keep going. But I would care more about bragging rights. Like, here's an in-house studio that made a gem of a game in a sea of bad games. To me, if I was like the publisher, that would be better. I would just like that to me is better press, and it's just more valuable.
Yeah. I think it's funny because like it's probably just the fact that like for the longest time, because like I would, like I said, like with my PS3, like I was the only one that had it. At the beginning of the PS3 generation, there wasn't a lot to like, people would be like, why the fuck did you buy that? Like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh, because of Ratchet and Clank. And there was like, why the fuck are you still playing Ratchet and Clank? We got Gears of War, dude.
Yeah.
We've got fucking
Halo.
Like, what? Halo 3, dude? What are you doing?
Yeah.
But then, like, around the time, like, 2013, when, or like even a little earlier than that, when, Infamous and The Last of Us came out later, being the PS3 swan song.
Yeah.
The PS3 kind of made that name for itself, and then going into the PS4 generation, its exclusives are really what set it apart. Outside of all of the like DRM and Xbox really dropping the ball with all the Kinect shit and like all that stuff. But putting all that stuff aside, when that switch happened between the PS3 and PS4 generation, and I bought my PS4 first, and all my friends had Xboxes, I think during that time I got a little, dare I say, fanboyish.
Oh yeah.
Where, excuse me, I started to feel like a weird superiority, like I had made the right decision. Sorry, I'm sorry. But the more I think about it, like, yeah, console exclusives really do make you feel like your purchase has been justified. And I know from a business standpoint, having killer apps sell your hardware. But when you look at the PS5 generation, there's not been a lot of exclusive games to it that are selling gangbusters. I mean, Helldivers doesn't even really count because it's on PC.
Yeah.
So really what is moving units, I mean, is third party or second party exclusive deals, where these like first party exclusive games aren't necessarily the thing it might have been the thing that made people buy their PS4s, but it's not. It's the reason they're sticking around are these third party games like Call of Duty and Fortnite and all this stuff. So I think that, like, from a business standpoint, they're probably starting to outgrow that idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there is that like weird like pride or like fanboy thing in me that's like, as much as people want like Helldivers to come to Xbox, I would see the perspective of Sony being like, no, if you really want to buy this, or if you really want to play this, go buy a PlayStation or buy a PC. And in that deal, the PS5 is the cheaper option.
Yeah.
And I think they know what they have when it comes to games like that. And them putting it on PC is their weird way of being like, we're going to open the funnel a little bit. And we have a Sean Layden, like a CEO article that I pulled up where he talks about this, where I get that term, like widening the funnel, trying to bring more people in because it is going to sell more copies. And with these big bloated games where there's like all this development cost spent to get the return on that investment, you do need to open it up. And I think that strategy you mentioned with the, like with the single player games where they like put Ghost of Tsushima out.
Yeah.
And then like 2-3 years later bring it, or I really like the cadence of like they put it out the first year on PlayStation and then a year later bring it to PC.
Yeah, because they've exhausted their market.
Yes.
And they know everybody who originally has it, and then if they're confident in the game, which they are, you've got a year to decide, okay, do I want to wait or do I buy a PlayStation 5 that's on sale or something? And then bam, you just made hundreds of dollars.
Totally. I might need to go get a bottle of water really quick. But
my other, sorry if you don't mind, the other thing that's interesting with the PS5 compared to the PS4 was when the PS4 came out, you had Destiny and all DLCs and exclusives were on PlayStation first. And then they came to Xbox like at least a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And that was the same with Call of Duty. Call of Duty during the PS4 era made the switch, so all DLC came out first. That doesn't exist anymore. So there's even less reason to be really holding on, to your like cards, I guess, as a Sony standpoint. You might as well just, like you said, open that funnel. You're not doing those deals anymore.
Yeah, and it's funny because nowadays Xbox seems like so open, where they're like, we're going to start bringing things. Phil Spencer saying like he doesn't understand who it helps, but like I think Sony is just locked into kind of like an older way of doing things.
Oh yeah.
Which personally I like. I don't know if it's the best thing for their business, but they seem to want to keep doing it. I think they like selling their games. They have a subscription model, but they're not giving their day one games. Mm-hmm. Like when The Last of Us Part 3 maybe comes out.
Yeah.
That's not going to be on like PlayStation Plus Premium or whatever the tiers are day one, because they want to continue to sell games. And like I understand from a business perspective they need to bring that money in and that works, but I look back to like in the Xbox days, like the second party exclusive deals where like BioShock was only on Xbox 360 and like it eventually came to PS3, but those like timed exclusives, while they happened here and there and they weren't always locked down forever, everybody in terms of like the are you familiar with the term the HD twins?
No, sorry.
That's an old term from when Xbox or the 360 and the PS3 were doing HD, but the Wii wasn't.
Okay.
And so they referred to 360 and PS3 as the HD twins. And so the HD twins both were kind of doing those deals to incentivize people to buy their machines.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like, yeah, of course, the more people playing the games, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, the Helldivers servers might not have been able to handle it being completely open. But
yeah, and right now they wouldn't be able to handle Xbox players. It would crash the game again.
Here's the thing, though. This is the last thing with that, or like this is the weird like caveat to bringing PlayStation games to Xbox. Xbox has kind of fostered a community of people that don't really buy games anymore.
Oh yeah,
they're so used to Game Pass, and so it's like, even at a budget price of $40, if they brought Helldivers over, like how many people would be like, "Oh, it's not on Game Pass? Forget it."
That's fair, yeah, and also those people aren't going to be the ones that are going to keep coming back on regular updates and stuff like that because they know it's on Game Pass. They have a plethora of other stuff. They don't feel obligated to get their $40.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help further because, player count and people spending money on the game is what helps developers further anything with their game. And yeah, I know I can see how that could be a problem.
Yeah. It's like, I think you're right though, that those days are going away and probably should go away. The only thing I wonder is when you look at like the mobile market, you look at something like Apple, the ecosystem is what keeps you there. Our PlayStation trophies are like the PSN, like the ecosystem when you're on PlayStation, is the service enough to justify you staying there if you know that, like, if I'll kick it to you this way, would you switch to playing on Xbox as a preferred ecosystem if it meant that you could still buy PlayStation games there?
Ugh. Personally, no, because of the type of gamer I am. Because I do think that Sony was late to the races with their tiered system and their subscription services. Obviously, Game Pass has been the reigning subscription service for games, but we've talked about how in the end, though, that has kind of hurt a lot of developing studios because they just take this lump sum of money and then it doesn't matter if their game is good or not. In anything, if it's almost kind of led to this lack of quality control in the gaming industry, which probably has also resulted in all of these mass layoffs. And it's weird, as a studio like Sony, you pride yourself on these developers and these little publishing companies and stuff. You'd think that, you'd want them to continue doing their work. Well, the only way that's going to happen is if more units are sold. So you'd want to open up that funnel and put them on that pedestal. I mean, if they did a good product, sell it to everybody, you're ultimately just going to make more money and allow them to further make good things. And at the end of the day, it's a Sony game. People are going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, the publisher and the developer have a good relationship. It's not like parasitic and I can still play it on Xbox. Like, that's a win for everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do hear what you say about the ecosystem. I think that's a big reason why the Epic Store has had such a rough go, because so many people are ingrained in the Steam ecosystem, and that has already been fully fleshed out. I wouldn't go back to Xbox. I kind of miss the days of having a little avatar to customize.
Yeah,
but
I don't think you could do that anymore.
So yeah, that would be the only real thing that would get me back going.
It's weird though, if you had an avatar,
yeah,
and you still have access to that account, it will still show on Xbox.
Oh, that's pretty
but
cool.
I don't think you can make new ones.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
And like they had a whole store with like credits you could buy and stuff like that. And in game, like I remember buying like Gears of War stuff.
Yeah.
And playing, and that was tied in with the achievements. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which you can see Sony doing the same thing, like with their log in and play a game for the month of March or something.
Yeah,
and challenges.
It's all turned into like weird rewards. Things.
I mean, I just got like the $5 from buying, which is nice. I mean, I had to spend way more, but still, I mean, it's a nice little incentive. I don't know. I think the novelty of technology is also not as like, wow, this is crazy. There's more and more people growing up with like just way more technology at their fingertips. So from going to a Nintendo 3DS to a console, and the one from, Tomb Raider box graphics to The Witcher, just these massive jumps are going to get less and less frequent with the technology. And I think people are the little novelties of that ecosystem, I think, isn't going to draw people in like it used to.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but I don't know.
Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
If I had to like break out my crystal ball, put a culturally appropriated turban on my head, I would say that I think, you see Xbox testing the waters with bringing games over, and I don't think Xbox will stop making consoles because I think they want to continue to foster the audience that has their library there that's carrying over from 360 to Xbox One to Xbox Series.
Yeah.
I think that if they threw that away by the wayside, they would have a really bad PR problem on their hands. But I think that because Sony won probably the most important generation to win, which was PS4 onward, because of all of the games that you have in your library there, most people will choose to stay there even if the games went multi-platform. That really what would kind of behoove Microsoft to do is to just start releasing them on PlayStation.
Yeah.
And just continue to make your console for the people that want to stay in that ecosystem, and hope that it's enough to keep it going. Because really, the day that Microsoft stops looking at Xbox as their arm into the gaming market and looks at them as like this burden that they're carrying, where they can go, we could just become a publisher and probably make a lot more money, like that's probably where like Phil Spencer and all the team over at Xbox really have to figure out what they can do to make Microsoft not see them that way. Because at some point when Microsoft is taking all of this money from Windows and all of their other divisions of Microsoft and injecting it into Xbox to continue to have an arm in the gaming market, which they definitely want. And now that they have King the ABK deal, that mobile side, they definitely want to be in the gaming space. It's very lucrative. But if someday they start looking at like making consoles, making hardware, because that's not what Microsoft does. I know they have like Surface tablets and stuff like that, but like their hardware, they've always been a services company, and that's the other caveat to it, is that like for a really long time, Xbox had better services. like with 360, they had the achievements.
Yep.
They had even on the original Xbox, they had, remember you could load it full of MP3s.
Yeah.
And had the built-in hard drive, had the foresight to use Ethernet on the box. You know, going into the 360 generation, they really had services down pat. It was really as soon as they started to lose the games, that's when, and they started doing all the Connect stuff, they kind of lost their core audience. But really they were, if we're being honest, we're just a little bit ahead of the curve, like a little too early with it all.
Yeah.
If Xbox could come back, like if, say, games were coming out on all platforms, if Xbox could revitalize that services mindset, especially with Game Pass, and like rejuvenate achievements, maybe up those rewards, do all that stuff to make it this environment that people really wanted to spend time in. Who knows how it could play out, but I don't know. Console exclusivity does, like you said, it kind of seems like something from like yesteryear.
Yeah.
That's going away slowly. And it'll be interesting to see, because like we know that Nintendo's not budging.
Oh, but they don't have to.
Yeah, they absolutely don't.
They thankfully, I think their like overhead costs is probably, they have a couple of their breadwinners, and they know, and that's the weird thing that I don't understand why Sony and Xbox don't take a page out of their book. Like again, with the fostering their development studios and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's also crazy to think that Xbox has two markets compared to Sony. I mean, they have the Windows side and all the PC gaming, and it's weird that they've like, I don't know, just left it to the wayside.
Yeah. It's such a tricky, like complicated thing. 'Cause like it seems so easy to look at things like, remember when you couldn't do crossplay?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't be on PlayStation and play online with someone on Xbox.
Yeah.
And one day Fortnite like flipped the switch.
Yeah.
And then was like, oops, didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
And then we all realized how easy it was.
Yeah.
To actually connect people like that. I feel like there is like this slow chipping away at all of that, and probably the only thing keeping it that slow are the platform holders being like, we need time to strategize to see how we can, like, how can we replace the killer app? Because like when you used to buy Xbox for Halo, like people don't buy Xbox for Halo anymore.
Yeah.
You know, what are they buying Xbox for nowadays? Probably Game Pass.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not Gears of War either.
Yeah, it's
right.
not Gears of War. I wish it was Gears of War.
Yeah, it's not Gears of War and it's not Halo anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say maybe Forza, but I feel like a lot of people play Forza on PC.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm not super knowledgeable in that.
I mean, because, you know, that's when I fire up my Xbox, that's probably the game I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know,
you're not buying an Xbox for Starfield either right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Redfall.
Yeah. The tricky thing, and to that point, of course, Xbox is like, yeah, I mean, why don't you want to bring your games over here? Then we don't have to worry about doing this anymore.
Yeah. Because they just showed that they bombed. It's crazy because Bethesda was so adamant that Starfield and anything in production would be on Sony as well. Starfield was a big lie. 100% a huge lie. But, I mean, that's fine because Starfield is a bad game and anybody who says otherwise can fight me.
Do you remember the day I came to work and was like...
You were miserable.
Because that was when I was in my era of like, I don't subscribe to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, my mindset was like, I want my books. I don't want to go to the library. Yep. I understand I can go to the library and check out a book and read it, and I have the knowledge of it, but I want to sit it on my shelf.
Absolutely.
I want the trophy. Yeah. You know, I want the thing. But like Starfield was the game that broke me. I bought it, and I remember just like I came into work the next day and was like, dude, I'm fucking confused. Like, it just doesn't feel like, one, I'm in loading screens way too much. Like, the beginning for me was so rushed that it felt like I didn't understand why I was just running off with this group of like ideal or like people that were like on the verge of like a breakthrough. Like it just didn't feel like anything made sense. And if I really did what I wanted to do, I wouldn't have gone with them at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these dudes are fucking weirdos. And I don't understand why they're just giving me the keys to the ship and telling me to go to this place just because I passed out and saw something.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. It was just very weird to me and didn't feel earned. And yeah, I think to bring it back, it just makes, it's funny that like, I mean, not that I think Xbox or Microsoft proper would get out of game publishing and funding their own like first party games. But I could see where they might back off a little bit if it can, or at least they would be able to relax on their cadence if they knew that games were selling on their platform and they were getting like a nice 30% rip on every time Ghost of Tsushima sold on Xbox. But I just it's funny to think that it's like, of course they think like, yeah, bring them over, come on, why not have Helldivers here?
And it's weird that Sony is so like against taking, like, let's say that 30% cut, even though in the end it would probably pay it back 10 times over, and then you don't have to babysit a studio or use your own money because you've got Xbox's money and sales on their platform doing even more. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And in my opinion, nowadays, over the past few years, the credibility of publishers and game studios has gotten way, way worse. And there will always be people that will always buy the game no matter what. But I think nowadays, because there's so much stuff available, people don't have to buy it if it looks bad. And people are tired of buying bad, underdeveloped games. So, like, if you're one of the big people like Sony, it's just, you don't need to do the exclusivity anymore, because you can be like, I've got 5 developers, they make AAA games, and they are all 9 out of 10s. You want them? Like, don't care where you buy them, you're going to buy our games because they're just that good.
Yeah.
So,
the only thing with it that maybe we don't give enough credit to as gamers when we talk about console exclusivity is the development time.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, in terms of the games that Sony makes, or like PlayStation's studios makes for the PS5, because of that, the fast lanes created for the SSD to communicate, to read and write in their own individual lanes instead of everything kind of feeding through. Did you ever watch that Mark Cerny like Power Hour where he talked about what the PS5 was going to do with its SSD before the PS5 came out?
I think so.
It was really dorky, and everybody I tried to show it to was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about.
Okay.
But I was like, this is going to be huge for them, and it's what's going to make them stand out. And
well, I know, didn't Horizon Forbidden West, didn't the developers say they actually had to slow the game down because it loaded so fast that the tips on the menu, you weren't able to read it?
Yes.
Like, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I remember a developer actually saying that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it loaded the areas so fast that you couldn't read any of the little tips that they had.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
To bring their games to Xbox would require development time to accommodate those fast lanes not being there. Like, the Series X still has an SSD, but it's built the same way that if you put an SSD in your PC, it read and writes through the same lanes.
Okay.
It's not routing them off.
Yeah.
And if I understand, it's been years since I watched that Mark Cerny Power Hour, but basically what I remember it being like is that instead of everything going through one channel, they have 2 channels for reading and writing. And so you're pulling information in one lane and you're providing information through the other. And that is what makes it that much quicker. That's why when you like boot up, that's why like you can launch into particular missions in games from the dashboard.
Okay.
And like it boots up like that, and while you're playing, there's still texture pop in.
Why it can keep the game suspended and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Xbox has quick resume.
Okay.
But I haven't messed around with that stuff too much because I tend to like to keep my console only doing what I'm asking of it in that moment. Yeah. I don't put mine in rest mode. I turn it off when I'm done. I'm not the biggest fan of like suspend modes, but yeah, it's like that ability to pull information really quickly and also provide the information, all the feedback of like, when you're looking at something in a level, like your camera's facing this way, everything behind you is not rendered. And as you turn the camera, that stuff starts rendering before you, like just a little bit before you see it, so that it's there and you don't notice any pop in. Yeah. And I would bet dollars to donuts that the PS5 does that quicker, or at least more efficiently. Yeah. And so as much as it might be almost imperceivable, if you really sat and broke it down, the development time to optimize that, I think PlayStation goes, man, these games are already too expensive. Like, yes, it would be nice to bring it to Xbox, but we're not going to hire specialists to port games to Xbox. We already have a whole team, Nixes, to bring things to PC. We're just going to worry about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, definitely gamers need to understand that, yeah, games are just more expensive and they take longer nowadays. That doesn't mean, yes, I sympathize with before, if you compare a game to like a cheeseburger, you used to get the whole thing. Nowadays, yes, it does seem like, okay, the side is cut content to be DLC and stuff like that. But you look at stuff like Final Fantasy 16, which took apparently so much money to develop that Sony was like, whoa, we actually didn't make as much as we thought because of like the sunk costs. And GTA 6 is going to be, the newest milestone for the most expensive game ever developed.
Yeah.
And it'll be...
And you see Square Enix is changing. They came out and said that they're looking at their development cycles and the way that they make games and looking at some changes.
Yeah. Even with like the in-game ads. I know that was mentioned in the beginning of PlayStation with the $70 increase, and everybody was like, what is this? Which, to be fair, though, I can sit in Cyberpunk 2077 and stare at their ads perfectly fine. To me, that was crazy. That was incredible to see a news channel in a game. So you want to put, some Mr. Clean ad or something on there for dish soap? Sign me up. I'll watch it.
Yeah. I've heard people argue that, like, if a game is supposed to take place in the real world, having ads would help cement that realism, or that like sense of like I am in a space that feels real and familiar. But there is part of me that's just like, oh man, this is gross.
It is gross. You know what I would be super cool with? It would be awesome if like it was a sci-fi game and these game developers and publishers forced the ad to mirror the universe they're in. Yeah. So like you wouldn't see Dawn dish soap in Cyberpunk 2077 like we would any other day, but it would be cool if you forced them to write like a brand new ad as if they existed in 2077. Yeah. That would be cool to see. I'd be totally okay with that. Yeah. But I don't know.
That'd be fun and creative.
100%. Yeah.
It reminds me of the original Alan Wake.
Okay.
Not the remastered version. In that one, they take it out. But in the original, the batteries you would put in your flashlight were Energizer.
That's cool.
and you would see billboards for like Verizon
That's cool.
and stuff. And so it was supposed to take place in the real world, so it felt real. But they kind of replaced that stuff with like just like some other things in the remaster, and they also added like, it's weird because it's almost immersion breaking, but they added like weird QR codes all over the place that if you like hold your phone up, it'll route you to a YouTube video that are like delisted. And it's really cool. Like, I fucking love it.
That's like in Final Fantasy 15 when you go to camp for the first time. I was like astounded that it was Coleman products.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, I am playing very much in a different reality where there's like Magitech machines and ships and stuff like that, and Coleman camping gear still exists in this universe.
Yes.
And it's like regular everyday stuff too. It's not like Magitech or buffed up with crystals or anything like that. It's just a regular gas Coleman lantern and a grill and a foldable chair. There's nothing fancy about it. I'm like, how much did they pay to be in there? And it's just so crazy to think, because we're talking about Square Enix and Coleman, which is probably an American company or something. Like, I don't know. That to me was funny.
Yeah. It reminds me of in Death Stranding, the Monster Energy cans.
Yeah.
It's like after the world has fallen into collapse. Yeah. The last thing we have from a relic of the past is Monster Energy. It doesn't go bad, or we're still making it.
Like that, little stuff like that, I would be totally fine with. Or, like I said, if they forced the advertisers and the marketing team to make a product and they even have like a QR code, and if you want to scan with your phone, it takes you to a real world ad. I mean, that's fine. Yeah. I don't know. Because if it means that these developers shouldn't be punished for continuously making good games. Yeah. And unfortunately, like, stuff is only going to be coming more and more expensive, so you've got to find some creative ways. Yeah. And if that's what it takes to not stiff the consumer or the gamer, then I don't know. I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Before we transition off this topic, there's an article where a former PlayStation executive calls exclusives the Achilles heel of blockbuster games. I'm going to pull this up really quick. The article comes from Video Games Chronicle, and it's about Sean Layden. And I'm gonna skip all the intro stuff and just get to what he says, because it's really interesting. It kind of caps off what we were talking about and is kind of like good food for thought. He said, in quote, "When your costs for a game exceed $200 million, exclusivity is your Achilles heel. It reduces your addressable market, particularly when you're in the world of live service gaming or free to play. Another platform is just another way of opening the funnel, getting more people in. In a free-to-play world, as we know, 95% of those people will never spend a nickel. The business is all about conversion. You have to improve your odds by cracking the funnel open. Helldivers 2 has shown that for PlayStation, coming out on PC at the same time. Again, you get that funnel wider. You get more people in. The global install base for consoles, if you go back to the PS1 and everything else stacked up there, wherever in time you look at it, the cumulative consoles out there never gets over 250 million. It just doesn't. The dollars have gone up over time, but I look at that and see that we're just taking more money from the same people. That happened during the pandemic, which made a lot of companies overinvest. Look at our numbers. We have to chase that rocket." And he goes on to talk about that the games industry isn't doing more to bring in non-console people. He says, "We're not going to attract them by doing more of the shit we're doing now. If 95% of the world doesn't want to play Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Grand Theft Auto, is the industry just going to make more Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Grand Theft Auto? That's not going to get anybody else." And just wanted to throw that out there as kind of like, Sean Layden he was the person, the CEO in place at PlayStation, or at Sony Interactive Entertainment, and he was in charge of worldwide studios at Sony before Jim Ryan.
Okay, so And then he took over for him, or was he like right below him? For Jim Ryan.
So when Jim Ryan took over, Sean Layden left. He's actually now working. He's like a consultant for Tencent and another company, which
that's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of like, dude, you sold out to the CCP, bro. Come on, dude. But he basically, what happened during the PS4 generation, we can largely attribute to what Sean Layden laid out.
Okay.
So like all of the moves up until, I mean, because Helldivers 2 was greenlit 8 years ago, Sean Layden greenlit Helldivers 2.
Okay.
Which I know that everybody looks at Jim Ryan as being the live service initiative guy at Sony, but technically maybe the pivot that happened somewhere in that 8-year period was because of Jim Ryan. Yeah. Kind of being like, let's change the perspective. I don't know if he had that much of creative control over it, but being like, we should turn this into a bigger, we should try to go for a larger audience with this. What can we do to go for a larger audience? And maybe that's when Arrowhead was like, well, if we made it look a little bit more like Fortnite in terms of perspective, going from that like isometric top down. And that's something that I really wanted to talk to you about because you played Helldivers 1.
Yeah.
Where I think if PSN says I've played it for like 26 minutes. I don't have much experience with it. But in terms of the world and the way the gameplay loop and everything, the way I understand it is that all of the things that we like about Helldivers 2 was true for Helldivers 1. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So
I mean, you had your like command ship. You would go down into your mission. The only thing, if I remember correctly, was there was definitely less customization. It was more like this was your class that you picked.
Okay.
And stuff like that. But I mean, they've basically done a really good job at just copy and pasting from 2D or top down to 3D.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting what it says about like the power of perspective?
Oh yeah.
Like that shift. And like a couple of customizable options and like getting it away from class-based.
Yeah.
And just making it where you pick your loadouts. Introducing loadouts and changing the perspective catapulted.
Same with Risk of Rain 2. Going from like the side scroller to like a open world 3D.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
That's wild.
And it also, I think that it shows that like, thankfully, I think it shows to other developers and publishers that you don't need to do the same thing that every freaking person has been doing, like with the live service and the free to play.
Yeah.
Like you can make it simpler and quality, and you don't need to stuff it with fluff that doesn't do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully I'm not a huge fan of live service games anymore. Same with free to play. But I think this has been a good pillar, of its evolution as a genre.
Yeah.
That'll only benefit gamers.
Yeah, I agree. It's because I've not been a big live service guy for a really long time. I think it's just from my background in gaming, being very single player focused. Mm-hmm. And I even really miss the days where like I would have like a birthday party and everybody would come over, but we would play a single player game and like pass the controller around.
Yeah.
Like playing like Condemned Criminal Origins with like a timer that's like every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, no matter where you are, you have to pass the controller.
That's pretty cool.
So it was like you'd be right in the middle of something really scary or intense and the bell would go off and you'd have to pause and be like, dude, I'm so sorry. And just hand it over, and this person that was like just eating cheese balls has to be like, fuck, no, I'm in the middle of this.
Yeah.
I miss doing stuff like that. And nowadays with everything, like most people that play video games socially don't look at a single player experience as something that can be played socially.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, the pandemic, having your friend come over and do a couch co-op game, I think that was a big fear for people. But yeah, I mean, just doing co-op, even like the smaller match stuff like Halo and Call of Duty and Gears of War and stuff like that. Now it's these big extravaganza events and stuff like that, which, I mean, Fortnite has done a good job with, but all these other companies that try to do it just doesn't seem to be as good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mind live service games, but there needs to be like a cutoff point. Some of them have left like a sour taste in my mouth, like Anthem.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
There was a lot of problems with that, and I don't know. Again, just it seems like people are just trying too hard, like developers and stuff.
That, and there's so many of them.
Yeah.
That it's like we can't be into Final Fantasy 14 and Helldivers 2 and Destiny 2 and fucking Fortnite
and
all
Call
at the same
of Duty
time.
and doing their seasons. Everything has a season nowadays. Every fucking thing has a season. That's what I really like about Helldivers is I could be gone for months, and those war bonds, which is their season pass thing, will never go away.
Yeah, at least as
far as we know. Yes, you're right. As far as we know,
if they take away a premium war bond,
I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
but I really, from the way it sounds, it seems like second Thursday of every month it's just going to be an addition.
Yeah.
And I am totally fine with giving $10, which I don't even have to because you can earn in-game currency fairly well.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is you'd be doing it for the metal farms anyway. Like, you can definitely do, because I don't think there used to be in the past when live service games first came out with their season passes, if you bought it once, you'd have just enough to buy the next one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Overwatch 2 is like that anymore. I don't think it gives you enough. I don't know about Apex Legends and stuff like that. I wouldn't know about Warzone, but
yeah,
I don't know. Just with all the other stuff, like, you're definitely spending way more money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the games where, like, you drop in, not like Helldivers, but like, because that's like an extraction shooter, I guess. But like I guess like the Warzone, the Apex Legends, what did they call those? I forget. It's been so long.
I thought it was
like PUBG, whatever they called PUBG.
Yeah, just like arena shooters or
Battle Royale.
Yeah.
The Battle Royale template just does not work for me.
Yes, no. And that's what I think too many developers and publishers latched onto.
Yeah.
Because PUBG was revolutionary.
Yeah.
And Warzone did the same thing. Apex did the same thing. Instead of making Titanfall, they decided to make Apex.
And Fortnite.
Yeah. Fortnite, which Fortnite also, like, one of the first, especially with, like, the building. And they did it really well. But, like, Bungie tried to do it with Destiny. And they obviously couldn't.
Wait, they did a Battle Royale?
Not a battle royale, but like the battle pass and the seasons and stuff. They couldn't give the amount of content that a battle royale can, though, because they tried to integrate that, even though Destiny at its core is more of a story-based game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I say that loosely.
I've got a 4-hour-long YouTube video to actually contextualize all this for you.
Yeah.
But anyway... the next segment that I want us to pivot to is called Facts and Feelings.
Oh, I like that.
And instead of...
I'm down for that.
Necessarily...
Like, people can see my face.
Instead of reading the entire articles and stuff, I pulled some headlines, and I included the links so we could go read up on them. But if we feel like we need to, like if we didn't read up on it, we want to be able to dive into the facts a little bit more, we can. But kind of the idea of this is like, of course, there's what we think, but then there's what we feel.
Yeah.
And
I'm a huge fan for spreading misinformation also. Yeah. That's my third favorite activity.
Yeah, so we might end up needing like some kind of disclaimer.
Yeah.
Basically, the first topic I have, it's still linked to Helldivers. I kind of grouped all the Helldivers stuff together because we've been playing a lot of Helldivers together.
Phenomenal game for anybody. Anybody who's on the fence of it, just buy it. It's worth. You'll definitely get 40 hours for $40 plus out of it.
Yeah, if that's how you look at games, for sure.
Yeah, if that's how you look at it, definitely going to get 40 hours of it. Again, the battle passes are free. The premium one is $10. and I sound like an advertisement for them, but like sponsor us, Arrowhead. But it's just they've done everything right.
Yeah.
And they continue to do stuff right,
which
is a very good thing to see for the start of a gaming year, essentially.
Yeah, totally. And especially like right in the middle of the PS5 life cycle.
Yeah.
Like because typically ever since the recession happened during the 360 and PS3 generation, console generations have kind of been stretched out to like 7 years, where they used to be like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Because gamers have had a lot of bad years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk wasn't the best. That was delayed multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
Anthem was terrible. Yeah. Destiny has dropped off.
Yeah. Helldivers just benefited from a kind of nobody giving a shit.
Yeah, and then just appeared.
And having an 8-year-long kind of like quiet like development hell cycle.
Yeah, and there's nothing I can even think of that. Because Baldur's Gate 3, its time in the sun has passed. Which is also a phenomenal game, but that was the tail end of 2023.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so basically, there is a Twitter account where I think I believe the Twitter handle is Next Gen Player.
Okay.
I used to follow him when I was on Twitter. I guess he made an image that was like PlayStation Studios and the Arrowhead logo, and kind of was like, welcome to the family.
Okay.
But that's like unfounded, like they weren't actually acquired. I think he was kind of just being like, this is inevitable, but kind of just being cheeky about it. Mm-hmm. And the head of Arrowhead came out and was like, we are not being acquired by PlayStation. We are still independent. And personally, I've thought like, okay, Arrowhead, this is a no-brainer. Like they've worked with, they have that classic PlayStation working with a studio history, fostering that relationship, developing a good rapport, and then when they hit it big, they scoop them up before they get too big. They get them while they're cheap, and have them in house. But what do you think about? Did you think that Sony was going to acquire Arrowhead at any point?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that they were that truly independent. I mean, I think they should. I mean, I don't know. I know Sony has a reputation of if you don't meet their expectations, they basically turn you into a support studio. But to be fair, you look at the track record. Sony has been putting out quality products. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how management under them would be. I don't see it as a bad thing if Arrowhead stays independent. I think if they're able to get more than enough support from Sony, then it should just be left at that.
Yeah.
Because then there's no external pressure.
Yeah.
And I can understand a studio wanting to be independent, and kudos to them. So, yeah, I mean, personally, to answer the question, I think they should stay independent and just continue to foster that relationship with Sony. Hopefully, though, Sony doesn't have its claws too much into it to where it's like, yeah, we haven't acquired you, but you have to stay in your lane. Yeah. That would be the biggest fear.
Yeah, they probably have some kind of deal with like supporting Helldivers.
Yeah.
And once they're contractually obligated to not have to continue supporting Helldivers 2, then that relationship or that contract probably fizzles. But I think back when I was making YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, Hitbox Detective, it's still out there. I made 2 videos, one on the Order 1886.
Oh yeah.
And another one on Days Gone. Mm-hmm. While I was doing a retrospective on both of those games, when I was looking at the story of the development and everything, there's kind of a very similar story going on between Ready at Dawn, the studio that did the Order 1886, and Bend. Mm-hmm. And Ready at Dawn was working on PSP games for Sony, for like God of War and stuff. And eventually they built up to the point where they were like, we want to take a chance. Mm-hmm. And Sony was like, all right, this is your chance. And when it flopped, they were like, you're going to be a support studio now. And Ready at Dawn, if I remember correctly, they were still operating on a second party relationship basis. Like they hadn't been acquired. And I think they after that ended up going to Meta and working for Meta and like Oculus.
Oh, wow.
And then they got shuttered. And so it's closed. And so like, all the people over there are probably free agents if they haven't already been scooped up. But then very similar thing happened with Bend, that made Days Gone. They made the Siphon Filter games for a really long time. They made Bubsy 3D, which nobody likes. And then Bend was making a lot of PSP games. I mean, I'm playing Resistance Retribution right now. Bend developed that.
Oh, nice.
And they built up this relationship of being like a really awesome support, or not a support studio, but like, they're doing a favor. While like some developers typically say like, oh, we like working with the constraints of a portable handheld or something like that. It's a fun challenge. I think they all dream of doing something bigger. And so you see that when Ready at Dawn goes and does The Order 1886, they try to make this big high fidelity thing. And then Bend is like, okay, this is our chance. We're going to make Days Gone, this big game. But then it doesn't meet expectations. And then Sony goes, we're going to have you do support work. Like Days Gone 2 doesn't get greenlit, even though it has this like cult following of people that really like it. And, has decent writing and good characters. And I think that Arrowhead, while they're making games right now that are smaller in scope, I think that if I was at Arrowhead, I would be afraid to jump in the Sony boat. Like when you see what can happen because once Sony's invested, you see what's happening with Bungie right now, and it's like if you're not meeting their expectations,
you're the redheaded stepchild, or you're the black swan or whatever. And they can do what they want with you. And I think that Arrowhead, if they're smart, will be like, hey, we like working with you. And we want to continue working with you, but we want to maintain our independent nature. It's just, I feel like those meetings have to be very carefully handled, because they could all of a sudden just go, you know what? Sony could be like, you know what? We don't want to work. We enjoyed Helldivers 2, but Helldivers 2 wasn't our $1 billion free to play Fortnite fucking Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact. It wasn't that for us. So we really, we appreciate the surprise success, but we're not going to green light Helldivers 3. If you want to do that, that's your business. Take it, do what you want. So I think while Sony probably would, they would probably do the Activision thing with like where Activision went, we're going to make a Destiny 2. They would probably be like, okay, we're going to do Helldivers 3. We'll greenlight it. However, we got to have more avenues for monetization. We should probably make this free to play. If so many people were willing to play it for $40, what if it was free to play? But then all of the gross shit that comes with that. And then we would all be like, Helldivers 2 was dope. Helldivers 3 is trash. So, and that's one of the big point of contentions with Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 is the Eververse store. And how much customization is locked behind a pay wall feature. Just to look cool. And it's just like, and people, have every right. They don't want to be using the same copy and paste. Here's a new armor palette on some dog shit armor. That's what's nice about Helldivers is even their paid store. You can buy all that stuff for free. So, and that's my big. That's to go back to what the gentleman said with like free to play games opening the funnel. I'm very hesitant with games going free to play because they, since the dawn of time, like with mobile games being free to play, they've always been based around the whales that will throw money at the game, not the average player. who doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, but then also, again, you look at Sony and it's like Sony's producing gold. Microsoft's over here with Redfall and Starfield.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but
that race to the bottom.
Yeah.
With free to play and like how do we extract money from a product for the least amount of money put in for the biggest amount of money gained?
Yeah.
It's a dangerous race, and that's one thing that I do like about PlayStation that we were talking about earlier, about them kind of having like that they stick to like an older way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that because it seems more sustainable in terms of the type of games we like to play.
Yeah.
Being around in that capacity for longer.
Even if you as the consumer are upfronting a little bit more.
Yeah.
It is nice to have that be more grounded and reliable.
Totally.
Like, and I just thinking about Helldivers, like, let's say they were to be free to play. I don't know. Like, if it meant they're free to play, but I have no way of earning super credits to buy the battle passes, like, going forward, when they come out, they have the trailer for anybody that hasn't seen the newest Premium War Bond that's going to come out next week. I don't have to drop $10 because I already have like a couple hundred super credits. I maybe only need to drop $5. I'm okay with that. I don't know if for the next 12 months I want to be throwing $10 every single for a $40 game already.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Where if it was free to play, would that be the monetization plan they go with?
Yeah. If it was free to play, I think that the things within the war bonds would have to be purchased with super credits.
Yeah.
And I think that the stuff on the storefront, that would be medals. Like the daily cycle in and out, like that would be the metal stuff. And I think that would almost get flipped on its head in a weird way.
Yeah, and that would be weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Staying on Helldivers. So a recent patch added environmental hazards, but I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, we played earlier before this podcast. We had like lightning storms, and I feel like it didn't do really anything.
Yeah, like I didn't get struck by lightning. Did you?
No.
Huh.
Whereas for anybody who isn't aware, Lethal Company, which is a great fun multiplayer game on Steam, when those planets have environmental effects, it definitely affects you.
Yeah.
The only thing I've seen in Helldivers is like the fog.
Yeah.
Even that one that made some interference in the atmosphere that caused stratagems and orbital bombardments to scatter, I didn't really notice anything affecting that.
I just went to look at the article to see if those environmental hazards were associated with different difficulties. But it seems like they're more linked to planets. And so maybe the planets that we were playing on aren't planets that have those, because technically they are planets that, like, we're playing on Angel's Venture, which was like the second planet we helped liberate, like day 2 of the game being out. So maybe they're only adding those to planets that we haven't been to yet.
Potentially. I do know they did have like a hot and cold system. I saw in like a little tip saying about how I think it'll affect, like if you have an energy gun, it'll heat up faster if it's hot, but nobody uses energy guns. Yeah. Because they're just not good. And same with, I think, it affecting your stamina. But to be fair also, when that did happen, armor didn't mean anything. Yeah. So, like, armor regen, it was all about armor regen. So, how much is slower stamina going to affect when you've only been using light armor? And the fastest stamina regen possible. Yeah. Like, and the game is only a month old at this point. About, it came out middle of February.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. See, the thing with environmental hazards is, I understand in the context of Helldivers 2 where it would be funny to just be like in the middle of something and you get struck by lightning and fucking explode. But like, I remember playing Gears of War and like Gears of War 2 particularly when they started adding environmental hazards to the multiplayer levels. And I guess it was even in the first one because you could like get hit by the train that came through. Or like in 2 particularly with like the razor hail that would fall down. It's cool, but I always remember just being like, I don't like this. Like it hasn't happened to me yet, so I don't know how I'll necessarily feel when it happens, but I really hope that I don't feel like, oh man, I can already get team killed by my friends, and that's funny. Yeah. But it already feels like they reduced, in the last patch, it feels like they reduced the amount of respawns that we have.
Oh, yeah.
So if I got killed by a fucking mudslide or something that I didn't even know was coming. Yeah. When there's chargers all over the place and my friends are launching grenades.
And you friendly fire. That's already more than enough of an environmental hazard. Yeah. Because like in the instance of like Gears of War 2, which is like, that's a perfect example. I remember, like you said, certain multiplayer maps, there'd be areas where it would rain and then you'd be locked indoors for like 2 or 3 minutes. But that's like a 10-minute multiplayer match. Yeah. Your team isn't killing you, or throwing a hand grenade isn't going to kill you. Whereas in this game, you have the enemies, you have your teammates to worry about. So yeah, I can see, especially because you're also grinding for stuff like samples. Yes. So it would be more of a headache than a cool map feature. I don't think, to agree with you, I don't think it would be seen as a cool map feature like in Gears of War and other things. I think it would be an annoyance. Yeah. Or a headache.
Yeah. Especially being like procedurally generated. Yeah. And it almost feels like if the environmental hazards were more likely to happen on the lower difficulties, because we were farming way more samples or like metals and stuff like that, hitting all of the things, running mediums really quick. Than I feel like we are now that we're playing on hard and challenging, depending on which planets or what foes we're facing. Oh yeah. But like I couldn't imagine like ramping the difficulty up and having tons of enemies and all these things, and then also having to deal with environmental hazards if they're happening more frequently on those harder difficulties.
2 Bile Titans. Like simultaneously, I couldn't even imagine casually fighting a Bile Titan unless it's part of the mission.
But unless like the environmental hazards are non-discriminatory or discriminatory, where like a Bile Titan could get struck by lightning, then it would be like, oh shit, that was rad.
That would be better.
Or a meteor just blasts it and the legs fucking go flying off of it. And
but then they'd have to balance the respawns. Yeah. To account for even more chances of death. Yeah. And it's just like, how do you balance that?
Yeah. I feel like they shouldn't have taken the amount of respawns away from us, because it's the only thing that made getting team killed not a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, because now like it seems like we'll drop in on like a challenging mission and then I'll look up and I'm like, wait, we only have 7 respawns and we just dropped. Yeah. Because we keep getting just raked over the coals by chargers.
And that's what I mean. Even right now, like 3 chargers is more than, if anything, chargers are now, like before the nerfs to the weapons, chargers weren't super scary. Yeah. But now I would say, unless the flamethrower is as insane as people say, like 3 chargers is kind of a lot to deal with. Yeah, being swarmed with every other bug, and I couldn't imagine on the harder difficulties where you have like 3 chargers and like a Bile Titan, or 2 of them just casually roaming around. Yeah, like, that's crazy.
I've got to fuck around with that flamethrower a little bit more. I just lean on the grenade launcher too.
The grenade launcher is very clutch, and I think it's underrated. Yeah. Because it will, you shoot a charger and it bounces under its belly, it'll affect its stomach. Yeah,
that's how I roll, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, that and the hand, like the impact grenades. Yeah, I'll just chuck them right underneath of them, because I would assume a charger has a soft underbelly.
Yeah. I feel like all of the bugs should. Yeah. I mean, that one of them even digs in when you try to shoot it, but I think if you throw a grenade, I mean, they do like bounce up and stuff. Yeah. So. I don't know. Did they do any changes to the personal shield? Or was it just weapons? Oh, really?
The shield generator, yeah, they buffed it.
Oh, they buffed it.
Oh, wait, sorry, no, they nerfed it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, hold on, I'll pull up the list because I wanted to pick your brain about that stuff.
Because that was like also fun. You know, you had a shield generator, grenade launcher. You could run in the middle of a bug nest, blow them up, just walk out untouched.
Yeah. The noted nerfs and buffs were to the breaker. Shotgun got a nerf,
Which is fair.
which was they reduced the amount of ammo and increased the recoil, which I'm still running breaker. They nerfed the railgun. Press F to pay respects.
Yeah, that's rough.
And the shield generator they nerfed. But they buffed the flamethrower. And apparently the devs were suggesting using more stratagems as a way to balance that. But like, if I pull up the article to see if we try to get more insight on that, let's see. It says, nerfs were to the breaker, railgun, shield, generator, backpack. And there's a bunch of conversation about people being very upset about that. Let's see. Developer Arrowhead has already discussed the thinking behind these changes, admitting having your favorite toy nerfed absolutely sucks, but called on players to give the nerfed items a chance. Now it's gone into more detail in a blog post by the designer of the first Helldivers and currently head of product testing at Arrowhead, in discussing the nerf to the breaker. He commented on primary weapons in general, revealing that their lack of power and inability to deal with enemies is entirely intentional. He says, this is very much intentional. We need you to rely on your stratagems and the stratagems of your team to deal with all the enemies effectively, either by Eagle airstrikes, orbitals, support weapons, or turrets. Some of your loadout / teams should be tailoring their loadout to killing the weaker stuff more efficiently. Which, when like
I agree with.
Yeah, I just unlocked the rail cannon orbital strike. Yeah, and that when we were playing with Brandon. Yeah. And those other two homies. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't remember their names, but shout out to them. They would throw an orbital strike and you would see it land, and then the red laser beam would just like link to a charger and just obliterate it. Yeah. And I mean, when you're getting swarmed by 3 chargers, trying to wait for that cooldown might not be ideal, but to eliminate one of the 3 that way, and maybe kill one of the other ones, and I get what they're saying, to like think of your primary weapons as the things you use to deal with like I don't know all their names, but like the hunters or the swarmers or whatever they're called.
Yeah, like the real basic stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And then having your grenade launchers and all your other stuff, and then the stratagems to deal with chargers and bile titans and stuff. Because if we are using breakers to take down
a charger, I mean, that is insane.
Yeah, or a bile titan, just blasting it in the tail until it's dead. Yeah. I guess that makes sense.
And that 100% does, but if you're going to nerf everyone's favorite toys, they're only everyone's favorite toys because nothing else was viable.
That's fair.
And you have a level 20 stratagem that is a literal railgun. I mean, I was very appalled when I saw it ricocheting off of a charger's, one of its leg armor. That was crazy to me. Yeah. I don't think it...
Oh, sorry.
I don't think it should do that. Now, if you need it to maybe hit 2 or 3 times compared to the one time run, instead of me blasting a leg off, if you force me to shoot it once or twice more, I think that's fair. But to totally like gut the armor pen for a railgun, which everybody knows, like that's just a piece of metal just absolutely slugging through something. Like that's you're gonna tell me that doesn't have armor pen? Like, come on now.
Yeah, you have when we're playing commented the most, even before the nerfs and the buffs, about armor pen.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've always had a problem with the ratings on the weapons, saying like low armor pen, medium, and the differences between those.
Because it just doesn't make sense when you compare it to any other like FPS game. Like it's just like standard practice that a DMR is going to have a slower fire rate but hit harder. And if that means more armor pen, then that should mean more armor pen. Like it's weird that the marksman rifles can't take on a Strider, the AT-AT Scout Walkers, but the revolver can.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not trying to bring like realism into it. It's just at a standpoint, even that slugger, like that slugger shotgun, the one that's not the breaker, that's the only gun that can shoot open those crates.
Huh.
Kid, I haven't used it, but if it can shoot open a crate that I need a grenade to blow up, I expect to be able to shoot a Strider.
Yeah.
Like punch through a hole with that. So it's just weird that they choose some things. Again, I'm not a game developer in any capacity. I'm sure there's a lot of numbers, but if your two main number values are damage, raw damage, and some percentage of armor, just don't touch this one or bring this down for however much percentage this one goes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I feel on that.
Yeah. I sent you a video. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but it was all about the armor pen. It was like a deep analysis where a guy like literally, I don't know where he was getting all the stats from. I'm going to try to see if I can find it. It was by a channel on YouTube called Gaming Existence. The video is armor penetration analysis for bugs. And like, he was literally like slow-mo footage, like showing you how like, and like telling you what indicators are popping up that tell you what it's doing. Like if it's like a gray X, it's like reduced damage. If you're getting a red X, you're getting 100% damage.
Okay. I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, he really goes through it very well and articulates it very well. And it's worth checking out. And might shed some light on that armor pen situation.
Yeah.
But
it's just weird is all.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing to have in the game and very emphasize armor and weak points on enemies. And again, like you want to say use more stratagems, like that's fine and all, but like, I don't know. It's just, there's always going to be stuff that's a cut above. Yeah. I don't think they're the problem. I think you need to look at why is the stuff on the bottom not being used.
Yeah.
That's with just every game and every single thing that always gets balanced. Everybody looks at the top performing stuff and is like, why is it so top performing? Oh, it's always overpowered or it's too strong. It's like, is it though? Or is it just everything on the bottom is just that bad?
Yeah.
And I feel like that needs to be looked at more.
Yeah.
With a lot of game systems.
Yeah. And I wonder how much like personal, what do they call them? Like personal, like challenges basically.
Yeah.
To encourage people to use certain things would get them to see the merit in using them.
Yeah.
Like if it was like, kill X amount of chargers with orbital strikes. And then people started like using orbital strikes to try to take down chargers and be like, oh, wait, hold on a second. This is a totally viable option.
Yeah.
Instead of just leading them away and all the homies just blasting them in the butt with breakers until they're dead. Like, because that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why they're like, we got to get people to use the stratagems, because maybe there are a lot of people like me that kind of forget that they have them.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, but I feel like there's another way to encourage people to use them and then see the merit in that. And maybe, and if we're totally being honest, maybe that's why we lost the defend campaigns, because we weren't incentivized to do them through challenges. You know, like, why are there bug challenges right now when we should be fighting the automatons?
For sure.
You know, like, give us a reason to be there.
Did they touch the special firebreaker, the incendiary one in the premium Warbond? I wonder if they touched that one.
Oh, I don't know.
Because, see, that's what I'm saying. And they announced in the beginning of the game, yes, we have a premium Warbond, but it's really not that pay to win.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a whole PvE game, but every game can have pay to win aspects. But in the beginning, those 3 guns in the premium war pass were lame.
Yeah.
They couldn't hold a candle to the breaker or the assault rifle or just any in the free.
Yeah.
So like by again them nerfing this breaker,
Yeah.
you're forcing people to then spend money, and then they're going to be disgruntled.
Yeah, and I'm on that page on the premium Warbond. I'm still I'm on like page, well, like 8 of 10.
Yeah.
On the base Warbond. I'm desperately trying to get through that before I move on to the other. But I might just buy the incendiary breaker just to give it a chance.
Same.
And see.
And I knew it
how
did.
It feels.
I knew it fired slower, and I think it hit less naturally. But now, if it's got better ammo capacity,
yeah, or at least the same as it was before.
Yeah, because the new breaker burns through ammo now.
Yeah,
it is really
it's a noticeable difference.
Oh yeah, it's hard to keep a full, like, just a reasonable amount of ammo in that thing anymore.
Yeah, I feel like I almost have muscle memory for what it used to be. Where it was like dum 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 dum, maybe a little faster.
Yeah,
but now it's like dum 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 dum.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's done. Oh yeah, it's crazy. Even with the max ammo that you spawn in, a single bug breach, you're like out of ammo already on that gun. That's crazy.
Yeah, every time since, I mean, I don't know if it was since the new update, but it might be since the new update. When we drop, we are immediately swarmed.
Yep.
And then we're dropping resupply, and then we're like, okay, now let's get all of our weapons.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of funny, but
I mean, I do agree to some of the changes, because again, like, you want it to be challenging for players and to not be so just run through the motions.
Yeah.
But I think people have gotten to that point now. The game has been out for a month, that now they look at situations like bug breaches or outposts or secondaries, and they're like, okay, this is what I have to do to tackle this problem.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's still only so many options to tackle being swarmed by a bunch of bugs.
Yeah.
Or robots. Like today, we learned that the spear is insane with taking out automaton outposts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, to the fact that we don't even need to fight them anymore, you can sit from a good distance and just javelin missile that bitch is insane.
Yeah.
To me.
That, because I run around with impact grenades.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to do that anymore.
I don't have to, well, because trying to chuck an impact grenade into the fabricators is not possible
while it's spawning enemies. But
I don't like I don't like having random encounters with enemies and throwing a grenade and watching it bounce off of them and being like, oh, hopefully when it does explode, they're still close enough. Like, I want to nail them with it and it explodes.
Absolutely.
And so I hate having to switch the grenade I'm running for the automaton levels.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I would do it, but now that we know that we can just run one of those spears and take them out from
such a distance.
Yeah.
Because even the grenade launcher, you still got to be in front of it.
Yeah.
You still had to have taken the time to clear out the enemies that are going to initially be spawned defending it.
Yeah.
And now you don't.
Yeah. Or at least get close enough to drop some kind of orbital or eagle strike to knock it out.
Yeah. But now you can save that for other stuff.
Yeah.
So, which is nice.
Totally. Anything else you want to say about Helldivers before we kind of switch gears?
No, it's a great game. Everybody should check it out.
Yeah, all things considered, still a great game.
Absolutely phenomenal game. It's only going to get better.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see it. I think it's definitely done good for this year, especially because Skull and Bones is.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, like, I'm approaching a year where, like, I really have to save money for a wedding, and so, like, this is going to be a backlog heavy year for me.
Yeah,
and, like, if I want to play new shit, I might have to hope that it comes to Game Pass.
Or it's just good.
Yeah,
totally
or it's
worth, yeah.
Or, like, it falls around a birthday, or fucking the holidays. You know, like some kind of gift giving occasion for me.
Or so listen up, listeners.
Yeah.
Your boy. When we get our Patreon set up, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I've kind of got 5 last things that maybe we can kind of speed round.
Okay.
Kind of give our feelings on. Did you hear about the Switch emulator Yuzu? being shut down and they have to pay $2.4 million in damages to Nintendo and have to cease development on the emulator.
No, I know nothing about that.
Yeah, Nintendo came out and said that like over 1 million people downloaded
this emulator,
Tears of the Kingdom, when it came out, and there are a lot of people that are really upset about like one, the whole side of the argument that's like fuck all of these pirates that ruined something that can preserve games. Because like Nintendo took knew about Yuzu for a really long time and didn't do much, but clearly they were building a case and they used Tears of the Kingdom as the example.
Yeah,
I think if people were fucking pirating Luigi's Mansion 3, they probably wouldn't have given a shit. Even though Luigi's Mansion 3 sells, I think it sold more copies than The Last of Us Part 2.
Jesus.
But
I do want to play that game.
Yeah, no,
I've heard Luigi's Mansion is like a bomb game.
Dude, and there's rumors of the second game being remastered and brought over.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, I have my Switch set up right there. I'm like, dude,
yeah,
all right. Every now and then I'll be like walking through Target and I'll see Luigi's Mansion 3 and I'm like, it's today the day.
I've seen people play it. I'm like, that actually looks entertaining.
Yeah. But so there's the people that are upset at the pirates for ruining that platform, and then there's the people that are like upset about people calling them out because they're like shilling for Nintendo, essentially, and just being like, oh, fuck the corporation making us pay for all of our games in perpetuity. Every time they launch a new console, we have to buy all of our games again because the backwards compatibility isn't ideal and all this stuff. And
yeah,
I kind of get both sides of it. But at the end of the day, like, I've never, outside of like fucking around with Virtual Boy on my PC back in the day, did you ever like emulate GBA games?
I have not, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm a straight shooter.
Yeah. Hey, good on you. You know?
I just don't understand. I mean, I do, I guess. I'm not going to sit here and be like that streamer Pokimane and be like, why are you poor or broke?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just weird to pirate a game. Because, like, I can understand, like, fuck the publisher. They're greedy pieces of shit. But 9 times out of 10, the developers aren't bad.
Yeah.
They're just regular people who've working on a passion project.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not fair to stiff them.
Yeah. I've never pirated a new game.
Okay.
Like, in lieu of buying it.
Mm-hmm.
I have only used... Well, I've only pirated games or used emulators and ROMs that I acquired through like either cool ROMs or something like that to play games for GBA specifically that I sold, like my copy of Leaf Green. Mm-hmm. But I did buy it at one point. I just made the mistake of selling it and was like, I kind of want to play Leaf Green right now, just for the afternoon. I don't need to do a whole run. I just want to reminisce.
Yeah.
And so I would go to Cool ROMs and download a copy of Leaf Green, load it up on Virtual Boy, play around. But it's like, I did buy the game at one point. I just made the mistake of selling it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that invalidates, because like emulators are legal. ROMs exist, and you can dump your ROM, like put your cartridge in a little adapter and dump the ROM onto your computer and back your game up that way. And I don't think that is illegal. It's the sharing of it that is illegal.
Yeah.
And that is why I think the websites get shut down. So it's like, technically I owned it. I didn't dump the files, but I definitely went online and got the files from somebody that was sharing it illegally.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's a moral gray area, but yeah, it's just, it was a pretty big news story, so I figured maybe we might talk about it for a second. But
I can just give my opinion on what I think about pirating, but I don't know. I mean, also people know nowadays Nintendo is like religiously protective of anything of theirs, so like I feel like it shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, no.
I also just feel like there's worst companies to pirate their games. Like any EA game. Like,
Yeah.
Fuck EA. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just...
Yeah.
Is Nintendo that bad of a company? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I like Nintendo.
Yeah.
Well enough. I mean, I'm nostalgic for some of their stuff. I'm not, arguably I buy stuff. Like, I bought Tears of the Kingdom immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't played it.
Yeah.
That summer, remember when I was like, I'm playing Breath of the Wild because I never finished it.
Yeah.
So I played Breath of the Wild last year and still haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm like, I'll get to it eventually. But it'll probably be fucking 4 years from its release that I finally get around to playing it.
Maybe this summer.
Which is funny because I worked at a GameStop when the Switch came out. And they were like, before we open this up, it's kind of fucked up. They were like, before we start getting pre-orders out for these, does anybody want one? And everybody at GameStop had first dibs on the like 10 of them that we got, or the 20, however many we had.
It's pretty cool.
And I could not afford one, but I was like, I mean, if I can get it, yeah. Because like I remember being a kid and wanting a Wii desperately and never being able to get it. And so it was like this opportunity of like, I can have it.
Yeah.
And I got a Switch, a Pro controller, and Breath of the Wild.
Damn.
And I think even a copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Damn.
And took that home after I did the midnight launch and did that. Took that home, had a great time with it. And that's where I played for like 20 hours of Breath of the Wild, but never beat it. And then sold my Switch, sold everything, and then reacquired it all, and then finally beat it. So I've bought Breath of the Wild twice. You're telling me I can't fucking pirate it if I want to?
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, you would be in the group that definitely deserves to. You've paid your dues for sure.
Yeah, it's like I've had I've had a Switch OLED, a Switch Lite, 2 copies of Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe twice. God only knows what else. How many times I bought fucking Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Because I bought them digitally on my Switch Lite.
Oh.
And didn't know that I could download.
Yeah.
Or like log into my other account and re-download them. So I bought them again. Like a fucking idiot. But anyway. Did you see that Ghost of Tsushima's director's cut's coming to PC? Speaking of console exclusivity.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, dude.
So wait, Ghost of Tsushima is available for PC, or this is the first time it's coming to PC?
This is the first time.
Oh, and it's with the director's cut edition.
Yes. Right? Yeah. And oh my God,
see,
what an amazing game.
And that's Sony's MO, and it works for them. You know, they milk the fuck out of their market, and then after a while, they know it's a good enough game, and bam, bring it to PC, and then they get all the money from that.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty genius.
It is, yeah.
When you think about it,
it is really smart. But not all games need to be like that.
Yeah,
and I can understand. Not to go back to the very beginning conversation of the podcast, but like, I mean, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is a phenomenal, absolutely 10 out of 10 game. Yeah. Beautiful, everything. For
games like. For single-player driven games like Ghost of Tsushima, I think that's the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
To release exclusive to PlayStation, and then a year or whenever the sales start to peter off, and whenever Nix's is ready with the port, bring it to PC.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then like the live service multiplayer stuff, like what is it? Like oh my God. It's not it's there's the game with the Jiggly Burger, and then the other one with the $sign in the name. Oh my God. That like Haven is working on. It's a bunch of people. It looks like a Ubisoft game because it's a bunch of old Ubisoft developers that are coming over, and it's almost like a payday. Like they're robbing the elite and stealing their money.
Oh fuck. Yeah.
I can't remember what the fuck that game is called. Oh shit. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look this up. What is
Yeah, I know what you
Haven
mean.
working on.
We'll be right back. Pull Dr. Phil.
Holy shit. Maybe it's not Haven. Oh my god, what is it? Oh, Fair Games. Isn't that what it's called? Fair Games?
Yeah.
Fair Games. Yep, Fair Games is the one with the $, and then the other one is it's not Contraband, because that's an Xbox game, but it's something that starts with a C.
You're not thinking of the Finals or Hyenas, are you?
No. And it's not. Oh, fuck, what is it called? I'm gonna just put in PlayStation Con and see if something comes up. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're live service games. Those are the ones that I see. If they don't put it on PC day one, it's kind of silly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And making them kind of console exclusives is silly.
Yeah. Like console exclusive to PlayStation, but also on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I think is a business model that will work for them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like I have a buddy that he's been always on Xbox, and Helldivers came out and he was like, okay, he edits videos for a racing YouTuber or like a racing simulator YouTuber. And he's like, okay, I need a new PC for video editing. But also if it means that I can play Helldivers with you, consider it done.
Yeah.
And so he will probably buy a PC this upcoming week.
Nice.
And Helldivers was a motivating factor. So it's like, it's a no-brainer to do that, I think.
It's also that Ghost of Tsushima is coming out and more people can experience it. Yeah.
That game, there's a video on my YouTube channel called How Ghost of Tsushima Got Me Through a Breakup. Mm-hmm. Dude, Ghost of Tsushima, probably my favorite video game of all time. I say Last of Us is my favorite piece of media of all time. But Ghost of Tsushima might be my favorite video game, and it's all detailed in that video. If anybody wants to go check that out, again, the channel's Hitbox Detective.
Yeah, go check it out.
But I mean, it got me writing haiku. It got me it almost healed my OCD in a weird way. It got me to go outside and just walk around, which is really weird because it's I remember a long time ago this guy was like, you ever just go outside and go for a walk? It's kind of like playing Skyrim in real life. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? But Ghost of Tsushima had that effect on me where I was like, man, maybe I should go kayaking more often and just spend time outside.
That's how I was when I played 16. I was so engrossed with how beautiful the water looked.
In Final Fantasy 16?
16, yeah. Oh, in the desert areas, I was like, wow, dude, this is so beautiful. And I'm like, wait. This isn't going to be any better than real life, though. Yeah. I should just go outside and look at actual water. I mean, it's insane that it looks that good graphically, but it's just okay, but I can also go outside.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Especially we live at the beach.
Yeah. So, but I could see, Ghost of Tsushima. I really it's crazy, too, that the developers or the studio heads have, been awarded by the Bureau of Tourism for that island as single-handedly boosting their economy because people want to see the real world locations. Which
was funny when everybody was like, wasn't this made by a bunch of white people in Seattle? And it's dude, the fucking island themselves loves this video game. Japanese people love how much respect went into this.
That's another good conversation. That's the issue with that Spider-Man game recently about butchering the language, and it's made by a bunch of white people.
Oh yeah. Where they weren't using Puerto Rican.
They're making it
dialect or
non-binary.
Gotcha.
And it's impossible to have non-binary words in a Spanish or just that type of language. It's very masculine or feminine. So
it's inherently gendered.
Yes. Yeah. And the argument is it's a bunch of white people butchering your language, but here we have a bunch of white developers and I mean, it just shows when they actually take the time to research and do historical accuracy. Because it got me, after playing the game, it got me down a rabbit hole, which, to be fair, the rabbit hole was only Wikipedia, but it's crazy. It's crazy how much, though, actually happened.
Yeah.
And, like, sure, obviously it was all glorified. It was way more glorified, but the fact that that whole invasion actually happened, Kublai Khan was there, like, the fact that they actually have a record of a samurai fighting 25 men at one point, which you are in the video game and you're like, 25, that's easy. It's like, okay, well, let's see you put on samurai armor and fucking kill 25 Mongolian soldiers. Like, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just crazy. That 100 samurais were stationed at Iki Island and defended it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, we're talking like thousands to one.
Yeah.
Like,
some 300 shit.
Exactly. It's so, I'm always so fascinated because living in this time period in this world, you're always like, dude, that's so fucking metal.
Yeah.
But then you also think like, oh wow, that's actually kind of a brutal fucking life that they lived. It's actually really fucked up and barbaric, but it's cool to look at.
Like, we're totally the soft times breed soft men.
We 100%. But looking at it, you're like, damn, that's so tough. That's badass. And it's like, yeah, well, you know, this person grew up poor as shit, trained fucking 8 hours a day for 20 years, like, you know, died at the age of 40 from fucking bronchitis. Like,
for some shit we like can get over the counter medicine to deal with.
But it's cool to see in game, you know.
Yeah. If you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima and you have a PC, it's definitely time to check that out.
Yes.
Let's just hope the port goes better than The Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah. Even the Horizon, whatever the first name of the first game is, I thought it wasn't that port also kind of rough in the beginning when it came to PC.
Yeah, I think so.
Horizon Zero Dawn or something. Yeah,
the first one. They're all a little rough. I think they're still getting their sea legs a little bit in terms of porting stuff to PC, and I know that they have a whole port house dedicated Nix's software to do that, but it's weird because like you think with the nature of that business model where they're taking games that kind of have petered out in terms of sales on the console platform, that they would really nail the PC thing. But I think with PC, because of the modularity that's inherent to the PC model, like it's really hard to develop a port for something that like you have to account for so many variables in types of PC setups, like grades of CPUs and grades of GPUs and the amount of RAM people are using, and like trying to recommend minimum specs and stuff. That's got to be a little hard to nail down. And so like when you see those videos of like Joel with the big bushy eyebrows and stuff, like, or the one that's hilarious is the one where he's just profusely sweating. It's like him and Ellie talking and they're just drenched in sweat. That shit's so funny, but like, and that's got to be a bug. That I don't think that comes down to somebody's PC specs, but like, I always wonder like, what PC is running this? Like, what are the specs? Like, can you give me the system information? So that I can kind of suss whether or not this is like
my GT X970 making it sweat profusely, and the computer is also on fire. It's actually sweating.
It's liquid cooled. So talking again about console exclusivity, there's been a lot going on in terms of that stuff. It seems that at one point, I guess this is where it came from. Writer at the Washington Post, Gene Park, who I actually really enjoy his work, wrote in either an article or his review of Final Fantasy Rebirth and alluded to the fact that the entire Final Fantasy remake trilogy was locked in as a console exclusive, which caused some ire, and he came back and said that it was a mistake. And so it made me think, at this point, you know, remake didn't come to Xbox, even though I think they said that it was going to at some point, and then it just never did.
Well, all the Final Fantasies are coming because during FanFest for 14, Phil Spencer was there. Yeah. And so was Square Enix's president. And they are working on moving the whole catalog of Final Fantasy to Xbox.
Okay. And so I wonder if it's like a thing where like PlayStation's paying for this exclusivity, but I wonder if when the trilogy is finished and that console in that window ends, then can all that stuff come to Xbox, or can they start bringing like remake to Xbox now? And then maybe by the time the third one comes out, Rebirth comes to Xbox.
I'm sure there's probably some stuff, because Square Enix I know Square Enix like a year or two ago, they sold all their Western studios.
Yeah.
And I know they got recently a new CEO who's a lot younger, thank God. I'm tired of the stiffy old men. But it was a huge deal. But
I don't think they're so stiff anymore, if you know what I'm saying.
I know that it was a big deal because 14 is a reliable source of income for Square Enix, like without a doubt, because it's an MMO.
Yeah.
And it has done nothing but get bigger and bigger. So, like, obviously bringing the Xbox community into it is even more monthly revenue. I'm sure that Sony has probably a better relationship with Square Enix and is probably like, you sure you want to do that? Or there's some like time gate thing as to why not everything is on there yet, but I know for a fact, like I said, they were very happy to announce the new CEO and Phil Spencer they said the whole catalog was coming at some point.
Wow.
So
I forgot. I vaguely remember that, but I totally forgot about that.
Soon here, I think, is the beta test for 14 on Xbox. So
it's funny you say that, because the next story or the next headline was Final Fantasy 14's full release is coming to Xbox.
Yeah.
In terms of servers and player counts and all that stuff, do you think 14 is ready? Like, what are the servers like for 14?
Right now, they're fine. When Endwalkers came out, it was terrible. We're talking like 10,000 plus player queues.
Damn.
Like, just don't log off the game if you wanted to experience the new DLC, or you had to wake up at the crack of dawn.
Damn.
Now, to be fair, Endwalkers was a historic moment in 14's lifespan because it ended a 10-year narrative.
Oh, okay.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, but this upcoming DLC, Dawn Trail, is another new milestone because now it's a brand new story.
Gotcha.
With zero strings attached to the old 10-year arc. So, like, everybody's going to want to see what that is. Obviously, WoW has been in a rough patch for the past year.
Okay.
Their golden boy, Asmongold, has also boosted Final Fantasy 14 with him pulling his weight as a streamer and praising the game and stuff like that. So obviously that boosts, its popularity. Ultimately, I think it'll only be a benefit because, again, like, I'm fine with paying $15 a month and getting patches every three months. I know I'm getting content.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that transaction. I think it'll be kind of crazy. It'll probably be a little eye-opening to Xbox players who are so used to Game Pass.
Yeah.
Paying for a subscription, because I think they adamantly are like, no, it's not going to be, you still have to pay a subscription.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're probably going to be like, a lot of people will probably be turned off by that.
Yeah. So do you pay for Final Fantasy 14 subscription?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every month, $15 comes out of my account.
Damn.
But I'm okay with that because I know every 3 months, give or take, I'm getting a decent story mission, which comes with 2 or 3 activities, a good 10 or 12 story missions.
And you don't have to pay extra for those?
Nope. And
Wow.
and I get a bunch of cosmetic stuff or side stuff to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. They'll add housing items and customization items. The events will up the item level cap, or, just new armor.
Okay.
Like, I mean, to me it works.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. And they also still have a little side store. Some of those prices are bad, but again, you can just wait for when they have sales.
Okay.
In my opinion, like, should you be paying $25 for a mount? No, but I mean, WoW isn't any different.
Okay.
So, and you're not getting stiffed by having to pay to not grind, like all the other free MMOs.
Gotcha.
Like, it's a steady pace. Unfortunately, because the game engine is so old, that's the other benefit, is the game already looks better than a lot of others around it. but they're revamping the graphics to make it all 4K and like photorealistic.
Cool.
So that'll be a huge plus.
Yeah. Dang. Me and MMOs have never really mixed.
Yeah.
I played a lot of RuneScape, but I used to just kill cows.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how long I sat there killing cows just to level up little bits here and there. Yeah. And then I would like try to give goblin mail to noobs whenever they would join in for all their gold and stuff and go sell it. Yeah. I was a fucking cretin.
Free armor trims.
Yeah.
And RuneScape, yeah.
Yeah.
I just know that it was because before it was 14, it was a Realm Reborn. And I tried the free trial on the PS4 and I loved it. It was the only MMO I actually loved because I just felt like the combat was just better. It wasn't like I'm a stationary enemy that you have to hit or I will never aggro you ever.
Okay.
I like that there are some enemies that are like that, but other enemies, if you walk by, you'll trigger their aggro and they'll chase you.
Gotcha.
And I also like how it's not really like a stat check. You actually have to move around because they have telegraphed moves, which I think like a lot of other games do, to be fair, but I don't know. I just like it. And then but at the time, I didn't have a job. I think I was a youngster when Realm Reborn came out. Yeah, because I would have been like 14. And
wow.
Then I finally have steady income, so I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I will pay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be interested to see if like when they flip the switch on that.
Yeah.
Will all of a sudden like Brandon and you be talking will Brandon come back to Helldivers because the servers are all fucked up?
They probably will, and they do need to do this stress test now, well before Dawn Trail comes out.
Gotcha.
Which that won't come out until like November of this year anyway. But like, yeah, I'm sure it'll definitely hurt the servers. But to be fair, also the unfortunate thing is it grew in popularity during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Not just so that was another whole boost is you have a ton of people not working, not doing anything for all these years.
Yeah.
Like nobody obviously expected that. They're still dealing with the popularity and the influx of players from that.
Gotcha.
So, whereas Blizzard and WoW have had decades before in popularity to handle their influx and growth.
Gotcha.
So,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm excited.
Yeah. Did you happen to catch the Xbox partner preview showcase thing that happened?
No.
So there were some actually like really cool games shown off at it. Okay. I have a list here of the names, and there's all the trailers there if like later on you want to go back and check it out. But a game called Unknown 9 Awakening that looked really cool.
That sounds cool.
Was shown off. That's one to check out. There's also a really interesting did you ever get into Dishonored?
No, I watched my dad play a little bit of it though. I heard it was a good game.
Yeah, it's really cool in like manipulating an area with stealth.
That's cool.
And like how you choose to go about doing things is really interesting. But there's a game called Sleight of Hand, which looked like basically like a stealth game that was mixed with like card combat, where like your character has cards that like you can lay traps on the ground for people to fall into, and like it looked pretty interesting and is worth checking out. Just like because usually games that have unique gameplay mechanics are typically games where I go, you know what, I might wait for this to go on sale. Yeah. Because I don't know how I'm gonna gravitate towards that gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
And so, but like if this comes to Game Pass, and if you're a Game Pass subscriber or have a PC or whatever, it definitely worth checking out. I don't know if it's coming to, because a lot of these I did see are multi-platform. You kind of have to go to the PlayStation YouTube channel and go to their videos and see which ones have trailers.
Yeah.
To see if they're going to be available there as well.
I mean, as long as they can come to PC, then I could
experience
them as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. What games do you play on PC?
Mostly Total War, but if there are games like Lethal Company, that's PC.
Oh, okay,
that one that blew up. Sons of the Forest.
Okay.
That's not on console yet. That's the only
Gotcha.
reason why. But it's also a very small development team. I'll play basically just the same thing I would on console if it's just only available on Steam.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then like with Game Pass Ultimate,
Yeah.
it's like $18 a month or whatever, and basically probably like 80% of the Game Pass library is all available on there.
Like Forza, I played for the Game Pass trial. Same with like Halo Infinite. So
yeah, right on. There's a game called The Altars, which is really cool, or it looks cool. The idea is like there's you, the player character, and then there's the impression I got was there are all of these like alternate versions of you from different like maybe like parallel universes or something.
That's cool.
That you pull into this like crafting simulator where you are like on a ship in space and you're building out your ship and doing all this stuff, but you have to work together with your altars.
Oh, that's
and like
cool.
manage the relationships between you and all these other different versions of you.
Yeah.
And that looked pretty cool. There's kind of a bland game called Creatures of Ava that I don't know. Go check it out. It's very cartoonish looking. Like I'll show you like the thumbnail for it.
Oh wow.
Doesn't look very interesting to me,
It's
but
like Spore.
yeah, it kind of does look like Spore. They showed off this god awful. It's a Roblox game called Griefville.
Oh, nice.
Where it has like a Chucky from Child's Play crossover. Where Chucky looks really good, but then all of the other characters in the gameplay looks dog shit.
God.
But go check it out if you're interested. This is a game that I wasn't aware of the original, but this is the sequel called The Sinking City 2.
I think those are the ones that they had a lot of issues with, like Cthulhu and like the IP owner or whatever, some shit.
Okay. Yeah, I know H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Is like a known racist.
Well, 100%, but like the estate, maybe it was the Sinking City or it was some other thing. They used images and they like weren't allowed to.
Oh, gotcha.
But it's very Eldritch horror Cthulhu vibes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I guess they couldn't do something with that, which
okay.
I remember it being kind of fucking dumb, but it's the same thing with that Friday the 13th game.
Yeah.
How it died because like they made the game and then the owner of the IP was like, no.
Yeah,
Just,
didn't let them renew the license. I think is what happened.
Yeah. So this is like I think kind of along the lines of they like got the go ahead in the beginning and then like a bunch of roadblocks at the end of development, and they're like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're making a second one, and it looks pretty cool. Like
Nice.
like that like film like noir detective kind of vibe. That's why I want to play Alone in the Dark. I probably won't play it when it comes out this year because of my penny pinching mode that I'm in.
That's the one you sent me.
Yeah.
That I commented. Yeah, that one looked pretty cool.
Yeah, that looks rad to me.
I want to play more of those horror anthologies of the people that made Until Dawn.
Oh, the Dark Pictures anthology.
Yeah, they had a lot of those. It's just unfortunate because I heard that they were like all really dumb premises.
Some of them are good.
Okay.
Some of them are
Okay.
But like,
Because Until Dawn was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, Until Dawn is awesome. And The Quarry is pretty good too.
I haven't played that. Is that good?
Yeah, I've got a physical copy of it if you ever want to borrow it.
Okay.
Say the word. I enjoyed that a lot. You can also play it in movie mode, which is really cool.
That looked cool.
Where like you can ascribe traits to players and just let it play out.
Oh, that's cool.
But The Quarry was really interesting. The Dark Pictures anthology, like, yeah, it was a little hit and miss, but like, if you're a fucking trophy goblin, jump on it. Like, I remember like a lot of people played the Telltale series, because you can get an easy platinum or whatever, or just an easy set of trophies. But it's they're interesting in that like you can just like kind of like mosey through it casually.
Okay.
I remember the first one, Man of Medan or Man of Medan or
yeah,
whatever.
the one where you're on the ship.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, I played a part of that, but then there was like other games and I dropped it.
Yeah.
But I heard just like the end kind of got spoiled for me, and people were just like, "It was you all along," or some just stupid shit. Like they really wanted the monster. That's what I think a lot of people were disappointed for, is they wanted the monster aspect.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If I'm gonna play like that, I have plenty of like Resident Evil games I could play.
Yeah.
Which are all phenomenal.
I think if you played The Quarry,
okay,
you would really enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to play it, say the word.
Got it.
Stalker Legends of Zone trilogy is coming out.
That's cool.
It's like remasters of all the Stalker games.
Never played it, but I heard that has like a cult following.
Yeah. And I know that it's coming to PlayStation, so if you're interested in playing it there.
If it's anything like Metro, then I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, dude. I didn't play 2033, but I played Last Light.
Whatever the newest one is, I haven't played.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck is the...
There's 3, right?
Yeah.
I've played the first 2, I think, and then...
Yeah, there's Metro 2023, there's Metro Last Light, and then there's Metro...
New Light. I don't know. First Light.
Sounds like it could be.
Beyond Light.
Metro...
I think that's a Destiny.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there was a Monster Jam Showdown kind of thing, which was Persona 3 Reload expansion pass. Have you ever played the Persona games?
I have not, but I've been told to.
Yeah.
I've heard they're very good, but they're also really long.
Yes.
So
yeah, like 100 hours.
Yeah, I need to... I mean, if I'm going to do 100 hours, it should be on Horizon Forbidden West first.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
You got to see that through to the end.
Yeah.
Because you have no idea where it's going, and it's awesome that they go there.
Nice. But I have been told that I would probably like Persona, and I've seen some people stream it, and it looks very fun.
Okay.
And interesting.
Right on. Yeah.
So...
what I want to play... I have Persona 5. I don't have Royal, but I
think I have Royal because of the PlayStation.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which that is like some DLC or something.
Yeah, so...
Like added more things.
Yeah, like Persona 4 came out, and then Persona 4 Golden came out, and it has like all the bonus content in it. But I don't think it's something where you can buy Persona 5 and then buy all the extra content.
Yeah.
Like you have to buy Royal to get all the extra stuff.
Okay.
Because I think they basically just like expand some things.
Yeah.
But I guess with Persona 3 Reload, the expansion pass, they're kind of bucking that maybe. I don't know. Or maybe there was content that they added to Persona 3 that they're just selling as an expansion pass to it. That's when I'm in uncharted territories. But what's cool about Persona, from the idea I get from people, is that you can jump in at any point, whichever one you want to play. You don't have to play 3, 4, and 5. You could be like, I'm going to play 5.
That's pretty cool.
Which I think at some point this year, since I'm the fucking backlog gremlin this year, I may actually just dive in as like to 5 at some point.
I mean, I also want to try to be more conscious and do work on backlogs, like simultaneously play at least one single player game.
Yeah.
While playing all the others.
Yeah, because we'll get to what we're playing in a second here, but outside of that, there was a game called The First Berserker Kazan that I think you would actually like, because it looks like a Souls-like.
I feel like I've heard that game.
The frame rate in the trailer looked a little dodgy, but who knows? It could be an early build.
Yeah.
But I can't remember who's working on it. There's no release window, but it's worth checking out. If you go back to the doc, you can find the link and scroll down, and you'll see like what looks like a samurai, kind of with like a long white hair. I'll show you the thumbnail now. So
okay, yeah.
But based on what it looks like, the animations look really cool, and the monsters and the art style looks really cool. And it looks Souls-like, so I think you'd be into it.
Nice.
They also showed that Tales of Kenzera Zhao, I think might be how it was pronounced, at the Game Awards. Did you watch the Game Awards, the last one?
No.
Oh, okay. There was a guy that came out and gave like a really heartfelt speech. It was really, it honestly kind of moving.
Okay.
It's that game, and it looks pretty cool.
I heard about the stuff with like the voice actor. I think his name is Christopher Judge. That's the dude.
That's
who
the
voices,
God of War guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I remember him like shitting on Modern Warfare, which was funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah.
His speech is as long as the campaign or some shit like that.
Yeah, because the last year he like ran the light so long that this year they were like, you have 20 seconds or however long it was, 15 seconds to say thank you and get off the stage.
Yeah.
And they overcorrected a little bit, I think. And then, so a game called Frostpunk 2 was showed off.
That looks interesting. I've never played the first one, but the first one looks interesting. I need to play it.
Okay.
It's a like sim city builder with like, it's like a Tropica.
Oh, okay, cool.
But way fucking harder.
Wow. Okay.
Like,
that's interesting.
In terms of like a lot of push and pull, like, okay, I got to do this, but 20 people are probably going to fucking starve or some shit like that. And there's like these city officials and
Is it almost like a post-apocalyptic?
Yeah, you are in charge of like this, not world furnace, but this furnace that is giving the people heat. Okay. In like a fucking frozen, desolate shithole.
Oh, shit.
So like that's your whole economy you got to manage and all the joys of that.
Damn.
So yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Apparently the first one is like phenomenal.
Okay.
So it's cool to see a second one.
Yeah. All right. Then it was Final Fantasy 14 coming to Xbox.
Hell yeah.
And then probably what I think is the coolest fucking game they showed is Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess.
Sounds cool.
Dude, if you get a chance,
I'll definitely look at these, yeah.
That's what the thumbnail looks like.
Ooh, that looks cool.
There's like a day-night cycle where during the day you go around and like rid the world of these like basically like corruptions that are all over the place. And then when nighttime comes, or let me backtrack. During the day when you rid these corruptions, there are like people there that are freed that you can equip with weapons or abilities or something. And then when the nighttime comes and all the fucking goblins come out and shit, the people that you liberated, it almost has like a tower defense vibe.
Oh, that's cool.
And it just looks like fucking the most awesome like action adventure style like action game, like almost like Devil May Cry, but with like ancient Japanese fighting styles and stuff. Dude, it looks awesome.
I'm surprised they didn't talk about. Did they talk about Dragon Age at all?
No.
Oh yeah, because people have been fucking waiting for that.
Yeah, it's made by Capcom.
Okay.
But speaking of fucking Dragon Quest, or did you say Dragon Age?
Dragon Age.
Damn it, I thought you meant Dragon Quest. I was gonna say Akira Toriyama passed away, the creator of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably old as shit.
I don't think he was that old, actually.
Really?
Yeah, same with like that's like the creator of Berserk. I think he wasn't that old. I mean, 50 or 60.
Damn.
At least I don't view that as that old, especially when you look at like the life expectancy in Japan, just because their diet is like insanely healthy.
Damn, yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, I think it was like a year or two ago the Berserk creator passed away, if I remember correctly.
Damn. Isn't Berserk still going? Or did they cap it off?
I think it's still going. They have an assistant.
Okay.
Or I think the creator like has had one or two assistants that can like continue it for a little bit.
Gotcha.
That's where like a metric fuck ton of Dark Souls stuff is pulled from.
Yeah.
Like actual copy and paste you can see like on
Didn't
the
they say
nose.
Elden Ring?
Yeah, there's
it's like heavily inspired.
Like you saw the big fucking fiery basket in the Shadows of the Erdtree trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, those exist in Berserk. Like to the T. They're called the Wickermen.
Gotcha.
They're literal baskets with fucking dead bodies in them.
Wow.
So it's like, did you come up with that on your own? Like,
Dude,
which is fine if they didn't, but
the most startling moment like that's ever happened to me, I'm watching The Dark Knight Rises in theaters.
Uh-huh.
I'm watching it, and I like start looking around at everybody I'm with, and everybody's enjoying the fuck out of it, and I'm like, bro, this is just the Alabasta saga from One Piece. Like, this is just Crocodile is Bane.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody fucking got it. And I've been, like, the whole time I'm like, dude, Christopher Nolan straight up ripped off One Piece.
That's funny.
Like, it literally is almost shot for shot. Like, the whole fucking thing. That's all that movie is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's still an awesome fucking movie.
Yeah.
But it is straight up
Damn.
ripped off completely.
Damn. This is a cardinal sin. I've never really gotten into Dragon Ball. But
Oh, okay.
I mean, still sad to see the person passing.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, Dragon Ball is more fun than Dragon Ball Z because it's more like childlike and like humorous. Dragon Ball Z is dope though. Like the Cell Saga is so fucking good. Teen Gohan, bro. Yeah. But then once it got into the Buu Saga, that's when I tapped out. Mostly because Teen Gohan was my man.
Yeah. And
they turned Gohan into a bitch boy with like being the Great Saiyan man. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't care how cool this gets. Gohan isn't as cool. He's like, I want to, I got a girlfriend now. And I want to be a normal guy.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah. And then everything else after is kind of whatever to me. That's when I lost interest.
Maybe I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. If you're not a total anime dude, watch Dragon Ball Kai.
Okay.
It's kind of like they took all the filler out.
Okay.
And so it just kind of gets through it at a better clip with a focus on like the exposition that matters and the fights that matter. Or just the fights in general, I think.
The badass shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just stripped down. The last thing, so a former Xbox boss, do you remember Peter Moore?
Yes.
So he recently was speaking about, so he also previously worked at Sega and Electronic Arts, but he believes that serious questions are being asked about the future of console generations, and that people in Tokyo and in Redmond basically saying that Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft are questioning consoles going forward. How do you envision a future without consoles?
It's funny you say that because I remember seeing an article. I think it was around the time Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out. Some Ubisoft exec said that there would probably only be like a PlayStation 6, and after that, whatever the Xbox equivalent would be, it would just evolve into some universal streaming. Yeah. Just like a box that you pay for and you just stream games.
Fucking
would be.
What's that thing where Japanese like samurais would fucking...
Oh, yeah. Shibuku or
yeah, that's what you just said makes me want to do.
Yeah, no, and it's because it sounds awful. And it didn't that fucking shitty like Google Stadia, isn't that what they tried to do or something?
Yeah,
even that Steam box before the handheld came out, I don't know how popular that is.
Yeah,
but you still have to turn on your PC and shit.
Yeah,
my thing is I don't think consoles are gonna go away until VR evolves, because I think of VR. I think VR is going to be the future of gaming, but it needs to be way more accessible.
Yeah.
So I do think though there still needs to be some form of like a powerhouse box with all your shit in it.
Yeah.
And you just plug your thing into that, or that's where your connection is. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine. Like I said, I can't. If there is going to be no consoles or PCs, then the only thing I can think of would be VR.
Yeah. Well, I think if Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo got out of console manufacturing, the only the alternative would be like, because they would be like, okay, we're sick of making these consoles and selling them at a loss so that we can make our money on software.
Yeah.
Is at some point, whether it's through like AI creating like pathways to make porting easier to home computers, where like they could take games that they develop for PS5, run it through this AI that scripts it to be able to play through Steam way easier, where they just go, okay, we're going to port everything over. That way we can bring over people's libraries, create a launcher inside PC for you to like boot up PlayStation and load in all of your library and be able to play. And then all of our games we're going to bring there so that we don't have to make consoles anymore, but people have to have home computers competent enough or powerful enough to be able to run the games.
Yeah.
And then if not, your alternative is streaming. And if streaming ends up being good enough, I mean, Digital Foundry recently put out a video where they were showing the comparisons between PlayStation's streaming through PlayStation Plus Extra and Game Pass streaming.
Yeah.
And basically what it all boiled down to is it seems like PlayStation and Xbox have totally viable streaming platforms that are decent and run well, but PlayStation favors fidelity and resolution over not frame rate, but latency.
Yeah.
And Xbox favors decreased latency over resolution. And I mean, I haven't messed around with it too much, but what scares the shit out of me is I have buddies that were recently still playing on Xbox Ones and were streaming Forza Motorsport to play with us. And at no point did they complain about anything. Like, they're on like Wi-Fi. One of the dudes lives in a camper.
Oh my God.
And he's playing on Wi-Fi and streaming the game and competently racing with us.
Damn.
And
see, it's crazy that stuff like that could happen, but then when NVIDIA comes out with their next graphics card, it's a fucking brick.
yeah.
So, like, what? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I have a PC and it's a pretty decent PC, but I don't keep up with, like, I get into PC when I need one, and I remind myself of how they work and what I need and what's going to be good enough and how to spec it. But then as soon as I have it, I basically forget everything I know about them.
Well, yeah, and like that's crazy because that's the whole argument for consoles, and everybody knew, and that the whole PC master race and the console peasants, like all console people always knew that there would be that gap would close.
Yeah.
And like right now, I think is like the truest form of that gap. I can spend $600, $700 on my console. I don't have to buy a $3,000 PC and then a $500 4K monitor or something, or a couple $100 anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And my TV that I'm going to play my console on can be used by the rest of the household. It's not like it's a monitor.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. That would be wild to think that there wouldn't be consoles after maybe like one more edition, but I don't see them being kicked to the curb in favor of PCs.
Yeah.
Especially then, because you think of, like, with everybody needing to have a strong enough PC, I mean, then you include Apple into that conversation, and do you want Apple in that conversation?
With what's going on in the news recently, maybe not.
That's what I mean, yeah. Like, so.
Yeah. I don't know, because, like, I think if the big player, like, I know that recently when everybody's been talking about maybe Xbox getting out of the console game, just kind of speculating about that, the people that I would, or the company I wish would throw their hat in the ring is Steam.
Oh, yeah.
I think now with, like, the Steam Deck or at least the success of the Steam Deck, people know now more than ever how great Steam is as a digital marketplace.
Yeah.
With, like, the reviews, the fucking...
the ecosystem.
The ecosystem just in general. If they made a box which I know they've done it. They tried doing it before. The controller was fucked though.
Yeah.
If they went back at it and they were like, we're just gonna basically copy what people are doing with the modern controller scheme.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Yeah, either PlayStation or Xbox.
PlayStation copied Xbox.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah, basically, I mean, Nintendo did it too with the Pro Controller.
Yeah.
Basically, just make that shape with those buttons and do that and just make it where when I turn it on, it has, like, maybe not the big picture mode that,
yeah.
Whatchamacallit, Steam has done in the past, but, like, something that's elegant, that works. And I think that they could, especially with the library baked in, those people would, I mean, so many people would be like, all right, see ya, Xbox, I'm going to go jump on this Steam box or whatever, whatever they end up calling it.
Yeah.
If they did do that, that would be really interesting. And some kind of blend of like a PC that is built just to play games.
Yeah.
And doesn't bog itself down with being able to open a web browser and do all this other stuff.
And LED lights and...
Yes.
It's just a workhorse of a box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a brick, essentially.
Yeah. Basically, what the Series X looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be as strong as the strongest PC. And also be, a couple $100s, not thousands. Yeah. I think the minute it would, if it would be at the $1,000 price point, I don't think it could go over the $1,000 price point.
Yeah. I don't think, based on usage, when you think about like how much you use certain devices and their and the price associated with those.
Yeah.
When you think about that, like you can play Death Stranding on an iPhone kind of now.
Yeah.
And you think about how much you spend on a phone that you use every day, that's almost basically making you a cyborg, how much it's connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be more expensive than a phone, but it could be more expensive. And I would almost be like, if it meant the difference of Sony or Xbox or Nintendo getting out of the console space because they're selling them at a loss, I'd be like, just stop selling them at a loss. Break even on them or something.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always just so surprised that Microsoft hasn't done this sooner.
Yeah.
Because they have Windows. They can shovel as much money as they want into Xbox. Or they could evolve Xbox past a console because of Windows.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that they haven't done that yet.
Yeah. It seems like they're trying. They're just doing it in a way we're not.
Yeah.
Like with Game Pass and cloud streaming and all that stuff, I think it's just not what we would initially think it would be.
And you won't ever be able to get rid of Steam. Epic tried.
Yeah.
And they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
They tried so damn hard to give developers a better cut. They tried so fucking hard to get... Even Borderlands 3 was exclusive to the Epic store for like 6 months. Oh, yes.
Damn.
And it came on consoles, and that's what I originally bought it on, but it was exclusive to Epic Store for 6 months, and I am willing to bet they paid an arm and a leg for that.
Yeah.
I even remember Total War Troy. For a day, you could get it free on Epic or something. Like, they have tried their damnedest, but...
Yeah.
I mean, Steam has said 30% or you won't be able to sell your game, essentially.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because it's just a click.
Yeah.
Like, the difference between opening Steam and the Epic Games Launcher is just a click. But
people like this chat, the messages, the achievements,
the forums, yeah.
Yeah, everything that it has. It's just, that's a big thing between people I talked with, is that just the fact that it doesn't have achievements.
Yeah. Yeah.
People really like achievements, which, I mean, I do too.
Yeah.
So I have them on my Steam profile. The fact that I have an achievement that only 0.9% of the player base has. Yeah. Obviously, it's cool showing those off as badges.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know. No console would be wild.
Yeah, that would be. We've got 2 more segments.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, I know.
I'm really incorporating Dr. Phil into this.
I know we've probably gone longer than we anticipated, but
oh yeah.
2 more segments. There's what we've been playing as the first one. We've been talking about a lot of Helldivers too, so I won't belabor that anymore. Great game. But my single player game that I've been chipping away at has been Resistance Retribution.
Okay.
It's an old PSP game developed by Ben Studio. I briefly touched on it earlier. I would recommend it to almost nobody. It is not a great game. It's a game that I'm like oddly nostalgic for because I remember playing it on PSP when I was young and being like, I'm a huge Resistance fan, but this is really hard to play and I don't like it. And they've updated the controls, or not updated. They've at least incorporated like the PSP used to be able to hook up a PS3 controller to it. I forget how you did that.
That's cool.
But then you could play games on your PS3 controller, and start to use like the twin sticks because the PSP only, it only had the one stick on it.
Yeah.
But what I love about this game, its saving grace, it's got two. One, incredibly easy platinum, and then it is full of John Garvin's like great writing, and John Garvin's just like an underrated writer, and there's like these intel documents you pick up while you're walking around, and I'll stop and read them, and some of them are so well written that I've almost like sent you screenshots to be like, dude, just look at how well written this is.
Hell yeah.
It's so good. But out of context, you'd be like, it probably wouldn't be as good. You'd have to kind of understand the setting a little bit
The
more.
world of Resistance looks really cool.
Oh, dude. And they'll never make another one.
Yeah, the whole world of between all the games looks really badass.
Yeah.
And really enticing.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Dystopian future setting.
Yeah. And the fact that, this kind of isn't a spoiler. And you've had a lot of time to play these games if you wanted to play them. But you play through all of those games and you never actually get to see what the Chimera look like.
Really?
You only get to see their hybrids. Like they're humans that are converted into the their soldiers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh.
So you have almost no idea outside of like weird descriptions you might have found of what the Chimera look like. And it's such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So cool. But and then the other game that I've been playing is Borderlands Game of the Year edition with you. And I'm really enjoying it. Borderlands is a game for me that got kind of ruined by I missed the first game. I watched somebody play it at their house, and then I jumped into Borderlands 2. But I had a friend that had like already been playing it and was like, just follow me, hide behind these rocks, and I'll carry you through the game. And by the time we beat it, he was like, okay, now we can go run through it together. And I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
That took forever.
Oh, yeah, it's a long game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff to do in the game, and by not being a participant, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what have you been playing?
So I've been going through my backlog. I think a couple months ago, there was a free PlayStation game of the month, Steel Rising, which I think came out in 2022.
Okay.
It is fun. I would definitely say it's like an action-y Dark Souls clone.
Okay.
You play as an automaton during, I think the French Revolution was a little bit after Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI. So it's in that time period, but it's very action-based. It's got, your stamina gauge and health pots, essentially. It's just like Dark Souls and dodging mechanics. I'm a sucker, though, for any twist on automatons or robots and stuff like that.
Okay.
So just seeing the designs is very cool. The fact that this robot was designed as like a dancer, but the weapons like pop out of their arm, kind of like in
cool.
Cyberpunk, like the mantis blades and stuff. Anything like that is cool. The weapons are very Bloodborne-esque in terms of they do two different things, like trick weapons. It's fun. It's a cool story. It's interesting. It's not like the craziest thing on the planet. I'd say it's like a solid 7 out of 10.
Okay.
8 out of 10 so far. But again, recently, over the past couple years, that in of itself is good, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know like where I am halfway. The only thing that's a little aggravating with the game is they give you side missions and you can fast travel and go back to all the places you've been, but you don't you know a side mission is locked behind a gate or something and you don't have the tool to break it. So it's locked through the story progression, and now it's like, do I want to rerun through the whole area just to find the little offshoot that will lead me to the side mission again?
Got you.
Like, do I really want to do that? I don't know.
Is it like a Metroidvania style thing where like you need an ability?
Yeah, like I got to a point in the story where I unlocked the ability to kick open these damaged walls.
Got you.
And I've come across these damaged walls many times. Yeah. And like, thankfully, I don't really have to backtrack too much because they give you icons on like the map. You have a compass. Okay. But still, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just a little tedious going back.
Yeah.
So, but it's a fun game so far.
Cool.
And then Borderlands, obviously, we've been playing. I've played all the Borderlands games, like, at least, I've played Borderlands 1 and 2 8 times, minimum.
Wow.
Pre-sequel, I've probably played like 4 times. Haven't played Tiny Tina's. And Borderlands 3, I think I've only played like twice.
Oh, okay.
So I'm diehard Borderlands.
Yeah. And we're going to play through Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, the pre-sequel, 3,
yep,
and then Tiny Tina's.
Yep.
And so we'll probably talk about those in some way, shape, or form as we go through, and maybe like kind of like the evolution, and maybe by the time we finish it, we'll say what our favorite was of all the ones that we played.
Yeah.
I think that'd probably be a cool way to kind of do that, and it'll be fun to play through all of them with new characters.
Yes.
For the first time, so that we progress at the same rate through all of them. Because that was always my problem with Borderlands, was playing with people that were way too high level for me.
Yeah, and it just sucks because, again, you just miss out on the atmospheric fun that is Borderlands.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, you look at the original, like, trailers of Borderlands, I mean, it's just guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Hiding behind a rock. Yeah. You know, and, like, funny stuff's happening. Your character says some funny quip, or the enemy says a funny quip, or the mission itself was funny. Like, you lose a good sense of the game by not being a participant.
Totally.
But unfortunately, that is a common thing. A lot of people, they want to get through the grind, you know. I'm just going to kill these overpowered enemies to get my buddy up.
Yeah.
So, it can be a grind, but with friends, it's not so bad.
Yeah. No, I'm having a blast.
Nice.
If I'm being totally honest, there are times where I'm having more fun playing Borderlands than playing Helldivers. And I think it's just because it feels like we're doing something new. Yeah. Constantly.
Also, I don't like being kicked out of the lobby every fucking time.
Yeah, whatever that is. Yeah. That's making it so that I have to like initiate the mission, send you an invite, and get you in before the party fills.
Yeah.
Because if I put you in before I start the lobby, or like before I start the mission that invites more people in, as soon as more people in, it just kicks you out every time.
Yeah. So that's annoying. Although Borderlands also has some bugs of itself, but
yeah,
I might probably have rose-tinted glasses, but I have a huge fondness for games that are like the first of its kind, really.
Yeah.
In like semi-genre defining, or at least like a staple pillar of that genre. So
agreed. The last segment I have for the show is a segment called Say It With Your Chest.
Oh.
And this is either...
I keep sliding down. I'll say it with my chest.
An opportunity to get something off your chest, either in like a praising way of like something really cool has happened and you kind of want to shout it from the rooftops, or you're really fucking pissed off about something and you gotta fucking say this, or like something you just want to say confidently.
Okay.
About something that's going on in the games industry at the time. And I have my thing, and I want to say it right the fuck now.
All right.
And I want everybody to listen. Helldivers 2 is not coming to Xbox. You can stop fucking posting about it and making TikToks about how the Xbox people can come in and save our game or do the things that we can't do in it, or even that we need them.
Damn.
It's not going to happen. Stop feeding into the war, you know, of like, this game is out. I don't see it crossing that boundary, and I don't see many PlayStation games crossing that threshold. And so, personal moratorium on talking about Helldivers coming to Xbox. It's not fucking happening.
Can I ask a quick question on that?
Yeah.
Do you think it's not coming because they don't need to? They don't need any help because of how successful it is? Or do you think that's a factor at all?
I think personally it comes down to the engine that game is built on is abandonware.
Okay.
Where it was an engine that people used to develop games on, and then they stopped, and the people that made the engine no longer work on it. So it's an engine that there's no way to get support for issues that you run into.
Okay.
So everything that they do for it, the studio has to iron out those kinks, and they're so focused on the game being on keeping the PlayStation version of and PC versions of those games running, that they are not going to take the time to introduce Xbox to that
on a
ecosystem.
technicality, on a technical standpoint.
That and a philosophical level.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's not coming.
Okay.
It's not coming. If it ever does, I will fucking put a suit on and I will come on to that episode that week, personally apologize to everybody. But I bet dollars to donuts, bet the fucking house
Yeah.
that Helldivers 2 is not coming to Xbox.
That's big. You did say that with your chest. That was confident. I didn't expect that. That's actually surprising to me.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, like I said, I think they should, but if it doesn't happen, I mean, at the end of the day, who cares? But
if they did, if they had the time, the capacity, and they were able to pull it off, I think that they should.
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
But I don't think that it is.
Okay.
I think Sony doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I also don't think that Arrowhead has the time or they probably have the funds, but those funds would have to come from Sony, who doesn't want to spend the funds to do that.
The time, I agree, they definitely don't have right now.
Yeah. Hiroki Totoki, the guy that's taken over for Jim Ryan while Jim Ryan's exiting and retiring, he does not want them spending time and money bringing that to another platform where people don't fucking buy games.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I doubt they want to make a deal with Game Pass. I mean, they have with MLB The Show. It's not unprecedented, but I don't think they want to do that with Helldivers 2.
Yeah. Because even Game Pass is its own beast compared to what Sony has come up with their tiered system.
Yeah.
So, damn.
What's your say it with your chest?
Oh, I'm thinking I got two things. Part of me wants to be a shitter for Destiny 2, but I think the thing I'm going to say with my chest is people need to... I understand, first of all, let me just say, I understand the feeling of being ripped off by a game. But I think people need to stop bitching about the prices of these games if you look at it as the single most economical form of entertainment.
Yeah.
Most games you can get an hour of entertainment per dollar you spent on that game. I would say most, if not all. Even the free-to-play games. $10 battle pass, you're going to play it for 10 hours minimum. I doubt you wouldn't do that. People, I think, need to just acknowledge that, yes, it sucks. Game prices are going up, but they've been the way they have been in an isolated bubble for many, many years, decades, in my opinion, and have been able to brush off all the bad economic stuff. And if people just start looking at it of $1 per hour, I think you'll be fine, and you'll walk out of it okay.
I agree with that,
Yeah.
actually. It's a luxury hobby.
It is. And it sucks. You know, you're getting burned on a game. Like, I fucking hate Anthem. I bought that game. I fucking hated every hour of that game.
No, you didn't, dude. You didn't buy Anthem.
I did buy Anthem.
Oh.
I bought Anthem actually out of spite of my one friend who thought it was going to be the next best thing like Destiny. But Destiny was going downhill, and I was like, fuck you. I'm going to buy this just to prove you that this is a dog shit game.
And it was.
It was fucking terrible. Just like Starfield. Fight me. Anybody that says, you want to play a good game, play the Outer Worlds. It's funny because when Starfield came out, I was like, damn, I want to play the Outer Worlds. Yeah. Not this fucking trash.
Yeah. Dude, the Outer Worlds is so good.
I want to play that real bad.
Fuck yeah.
Also, the people that made it made Fallout New Vegas. So, like, if you're already the fanboy, you should know. Yeah. Fallout New Vegas is already good to begin with. I'm not like, it's not the greatest. Okay. Hail Mary. I think Fallout 3 is also really good, but it's a good game. It's got its reputation.
Yeah.
And
it's so good. I never beat it.
Oh, Outer Worlds?
Yeah, no. But I wanted to.
Nice. Well, yeah, I think it came as a game. Yeah, I think it came for Game of the Month or whatever for PlayStation. That's why I think
I missed out on it.
I think it was literally just like last month, or maybe it's this month.
Damn.
So you might still be able to get it, but
damn, the Outer Worlds?
Yeah. It's the Spacer edition too, so it comes with all the DLC.
Oh, the Spacer's Choice,
yeah.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna look into that. If not, I'll play it through Game Pass or something.
But I mean, again, I know times are tough and stuff like that, but it is a luxury hobby, and you don't have to buy every single thing. You can wait. You can be a smarter consumer. I mean, thankfully, I've witnessed an actual market of gamers speaking with their wallet with Total War Warhammer's Shadow of Change DLC. Overpriced for $25, review bombed out the ass, nobody fucking bought it, terribly played, terribly developed. The audience spoke with their wallet and didn't buy it, and the studio came out with a bunch of free editions.
Damn.
And they said, going forward, this is what you can now expect. I don't know of any other studio that has experienced that.
Yeah.
Because people just throw fucking money blindly.
Yeah.
Or they'll still bitch, and it's just like, again, just quit complaining, get your time in and then call it a day.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying with my chest.
They'll be like, fuck this game. Where are we dropping, boys?
Yeah. Which is what I did with Anthem, but didn't get 60 hours out. I think it was like a 25-hour campaign or something, and I was like, all right, I'm done. See you later.
Fuck.
But also, if you look at the E3 trailer of that game, and then like the launch trailer, two totally different fucking games.
Yeah.
I mean, astoundingly different. Yeah. It's crazy.
I remember when that game was coming out, and I had a buddy that was like, dude, did you see Anthem? And I was like, yeah. He was like, dude, it's like when that game comes out, we got to get
Destiny Killer. Yeah, all those things.
And he convinced another friend that was like, we should get Anthem. And I pulled that friend aside and was like, dude, I don't know if you see this or feel it, but there's something up with this.
Yeah.
Just avoid it. Because it was EA, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, EA can't be trusted, and there's something off with this.
Yep.
Don't do it. And that dude, the dude that was trying to sell us on it, bought it. And then like a week later was like, so like y'all were right about Anthem. It's not very good.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, fuck yes. I dodged the bullet.
I had a friend who always would go, Anthem will never be game of the year. And just constantly fucking saying that. And that's the other thing. Sorry, one more thing to tie in to say with my chest.
Yeah.
Is, you want to complain about the prices. That's fine and all. But just remember, it's not the development studio. 9 times out of 10, it's not the developers. They're just regular people going to fucking work every day, trying to make something that for you to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's the publishers and the shareholders and shit like that.
100%.
So if you're going to have that anger, you should direct it appropriately.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Yeah. Because the producers of the games are working with the time frames that they're given by the publishers, or in how the shareholders are putting the pressure on the publishers, and the publishers are putting the pressure on them. It's that trickle down of passing the hot potato.
Yep.
And basically it all comes down to the developers, that we all bitch, moan, and complain about, oh, they need to stop crunching. developers hate crunching and the producers suck. It's like, but no, the arbitrary time frames that are put on these games to why they're shown off 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
That's one thing that if you take two say it with your chest, I'm gonna take a second one on this episode for the inaugural episode.
Nice.
We need to stop fucking complaining about how, like, one, there are a lot of games, but everybody's like, man, Sony's kind of quiet. They haven't really announced anything for a while. Maybe they fucking listened.
Yeah.
And they're not showing you shit 2 years in advance for you to get hype about just to never see it.
Or for it to be dog shit.
Yeah, or for it to be dog shit.
Redfall.
I mean, right now we know about Wolverine and a couple of live service games.
Yeah.
And we all assume Ghost of Tsushima 2 or Ghost of whatever is on the horizon.
Yeah. There's the Rise of the Ronin.
We know about a second party game. Yeah. Rise of the Ronin looks dope. But like we've seen those and then they're coming out the next year.
Yep.
It's almost like, it's so funny because like people complain about seeing games way too far out, like Elder Scrolls 6, and they have to wait fucking forever before they'll ever see it. And it's like, granted, that's a valid complaint.
Yeah.
But they also complain about like, man, the future for Sony doesn't look very good right now. They're not showing us anything. Why did I even buy this box? It's like, you'll fucking find out when it's time to find out.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that Sony has started being like, yeah, we're not going to talk to y'all. We'll show you what we have to show you, and when it's ready, and the respect we give you is by giving you good products.
Yeah. Well, think of all the people that Sony got burned when Cyberpunk came out on PS4.
Yeah.
They had to refund, I think, like they were giving away refunds because of how fucking poor the performance was.
Yeah.
And I bet they were kind of probably blindsided by that as well.
Yeah.
So it's coming from a game that was constantly showed off and delayed and delayed and delayed. And yeah.
And shout out to them for pulling it.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it was left up everywhere else.
Yeah, they did pull it eventually because they're like, fuck. So
yeah.
I don't know. People just take a little bit more time. Just look at some articles. I mean, whatever your opinion on like video game reviewers, not even like video game reviewers, ignore the like dog shit. Oh, the game's too hard and they can't figure out how to fucking jump. But like, look at the actual reporting of the internal workings of the studio. Are they pressuring their employees? How are they treating them well? I mean, if they're a shitty company, it's just like anything else. Be an activist and speak with your wallet. Yeah. You know? So, or buy it on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're not a schmuck in my eyes if you buy it on sale. You know what I mean? But don't shell out a price that you don't want to. And the tea leaves were pointing in the direction that it would be a disappointment.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the greatest thing on the planet, like Steel Rising, you know, I'm playing it for free, yes, but I would probably pay $20 or $30 for it, and I'll probably easily get, again, $20 or $30 for it.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You are under no obligation to like keep these publishers and the studios afloat.
Yeah.
If you don't trust games to come out in a like solid state, where you know they're going to launch buggy and you want to wait, and maybe you wait so long that it goes on sale and then you buy it, you should not feel guilty for that. Actually, you should fucking pat yourself on the back for practicing a little patience and getting a better product for less money.
Like everybody who didn't buy Skull and Bones. And if anything, the player count on Black Flag has gone up by over 100%.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a 10-plus old game.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to those people who don't want to tolerate a game that's been strung out for a decade and is boring as fuck.
Yeah. Well, on that note, that's it for this episode of Save Scummers. Remember to follow, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your podcast service of choice. If you would like to write into the show, you can do so by emailing us at savescummerspodcast@gmail.com. I'm not on social media, but if you want to go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hitbox Detective, I'm working on reviving that in some way, shape, or form.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, smash it.
Yeah.
And then Evan, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, funny thing about that. Definitely can't right now. But just for future, since we're being creative and everything like that, I very much like Warhammer, and I plan on streaming some games that I will play or Ben and I will play in the future. I do plan on doing like painting streams and working on that artistic side. So if anybody has any interest in that, that will come eventually. And I might make like my own little side Instagram page or YouTube channel, but that'll be later down the road.
Cool.
So right now, just funnel everything towards Ben.
Hey, no pressure.
No pressure.
Hey,
Yeah.
but there's some good retrospectives on there. I recently went back and was like watching my old videos that
They're
I made
good.
like 2 years ago. I was like, damn, dude,
They are really good.
I was killing this.
Everybody should check it out. It's a phenomenal YouTube channel.
Thanks, I appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, peace, and thanks for checking out the show.
Thanks for coming, listening.
Thanks for coming. There's like, ugh.